balloon. House Democrats file a resolution to expel freshman Republican Congressman George Santos.
It is time for him to go. We gave him plenty of time to resign, and he has chosen not to do so.
California Congressman Robert Garcia, as Santos remains under investigation over his finances and personal background.
Hannah. Happy Thursday. I was going to say Wednesday, but it is in fact Thursday.
It's Thursday.
So today's YouTube poll is asking, do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? Just straight up, yes or no. That leaves
Comments
a lot of
very broad today.
Yeah, that's a lot of room for comments.
And comments are encouraged.
Always. At 12:25, Hans von Spakovsky is going to join us.
You nailed his name.
Getting better at it. I'm actually interested in the Wiggins America segment today. You want to talk about it?
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk
I like
about.
how she said I'm actually.
Yeah. Some days I'm really like, but
There we go. Yeah, there's a real bill in Tennessee to make.
in Tennessee.
Is in Tennessee, but it's it would be state by state because I don't know if it'd be federal to make Super Bowl Monday a holiday. And
I hear this conversation every single year.
yeah, well, it's gaining steam like for real. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about that.
All right, at 1:05, Tyrus is going to join us. It's Thursday. That's always his special day, special time.
I am not going to give anything away, but I was just looking at news and writing up a few of the X's and O's questions, and I stumbled across something that involves Gutfeld that I thought was a very good question, but I can't give it away, of course. But
a little X's and O's tease
for tomorrow.
That's good.
Also, can I just mention that this is maybe one of the most February-looking days that I've ever seen.
We can't even see it. So.
It is very, very cloudy and cold-looking and dead-looking outside, and it's kind of sad. Cheer everybody up now.
I parked really close to you, by the way.
Can I get in my car?
What does that
Can I get like which side?
Your driver's like
you
might have to walk in sideways.
Really?
Yeah. So when you throw your arms up out there and you're like, "Who is that?" It's me, and I just
didn't care.
She's like, it's me, and I don't care. What's up?
When I park there, there's always people parked like they back into those spots. I'm like, it takes so much longer to back in there than it does.
It's not about how much time it takes to park there. They have more time when they're parking than they have when they're leaving.
Sometimes.
That's a good point.
I don't even know where you're talking about parking.
That's a good point.
In general, if you have more time to park your car, but you need an exit,
a quick exit.
Yeah.
Overall, though, it's a net loss of time. If you have the same amount of time before and after, then it's a net loss.
It's usually the opposite for me.
It's absolutely about making a quick escape.
Sure.
It doesn't.
I understand.
Like I specifically have explained to you this week about how minutes cost me literal dollars if I don't get my kids in time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about.
Apparently, you are a backer-inner because I wasn't even talking about you, but you must back into your spot.
Depending on where it is and how fast I can get out, it's not about minutes throughout the day are not created equal.
I mean, it's very true, but I'm just overall.
I'm usually late,
if you're
so
not
I
running,
care more about getting there to park fast, and then
I usually drive in at about 60 miles an hour and pull my handbrake and around and
Perfect.
Just hope that it slides in the right
spot. I don't
spot.
have any problem with people backing in as long as they back in straight and leave parking spaces for other people. They don't park too close to people.
Yep.
It's
Did
irrational and wrong.
No.
It was a personal shot at you.
Yeah. Well,
no, she didn't back in.
She just did it normal.
Yeah,
she still didn't leave space.
But she was honest about it. And I think it's a perfect troll, so I actually admire Hannah right now.
Yep.
It's not your driver's side, is it?
No.
Because you pulled in.
Absolutely not. She didn't back in.
Nope. I typically leave before you, though, so
yeah,
shouldn't be an issue. That's the pre-show for today, guys.
All right. I know how I'm going to answer the poll already.
Is it yes?
Yep.
Are we done?
We're done.
Did you change it?
Unlimited will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
So my first question this morning of Miss Gaddy, may I ask of you, where did you go to medical school?
I did not go to medical school.
I'm sorry?
I did not go to medical school.
That's what I thought. Why do you think you or anyone else at Twitter had the medical expertise to censor a doctor's expert opinion?
Our policies regarding COVID were designed to protect individuals. We were seeing...
You guys censored Harvard-educated doctors, Stanford-educated doctors, doctors that are educated in the best places in the world, and you silenced those voices.
You got a problem with that? That's Congresswoman Nancy Mace questioning, grilling, you might say, Vijaya Gaddy, she said, over their Twitter censorship. Great question. Where's your medical degree come from? Now, you don't have to have a medical degree to spout medical information on Twitter, but if you are going to determine what is permitted to be discussed and what is not being permitted to be discussed, and you're going to use the idea that there is some sort of safety protection involved in your decision, maybe you should have the medical pedigree to make those decisions. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is on this same committee, and so she was there. She was throwing bombs back, mostly at the Republicans. It's kind of interesting to look at the entire context of the frustration that people of all political walks have based on what's been revealed in these Twitter files, and to see other folks still trying to act as though this is some sort of vast right-wing conspiracy. Jim Baker, the legal, he's the attorney for Twitter, had a lot to do with the decisions that were made when censoring was taking place, and was still there when Elon Musk bought it.
I was not aware of, and certainly did not engage in, any conspiracy or other effort to do anything unethical, improper, or unlawful while I was at Twitter, period. I did not act unlawfully or otherwise inappropriately in any manner with respect to Hunter Biden's laptop. Indeed, documents that Twitter has disclosed publicly reflect that I urged caution with respect to the matter and noted that we needed more information to fully assess what was going on and to decide what to do. Hardly a surprising piece of advice from a corporate lawyer.
So there's a lot to be discussed. There's a lot to be determined. There's a lot to be uncovered. And it's important to know what the Twitter part of that big puzzle is. I think that there are two huge issues to me that are being uncovered. They have commonalities between them. Why the Twitter files, why the release of the information that was taking place behind the scenes, the communications, the emails, the people who were in place, how they got put in place. There are commonalities that exist in two major stories. The first is how they handled everything COVID. How people who participated in Twitter were allowed to discuss COVID, what you were allowed to say. If you were to say something and they weren't going to kick you off, what they did in the background to limit your reach and to amplify other thoughts and opinions out there. But the second thing is the Hunter Biden laptop and the rash decision to censor the New York Post story that included the revelation that Hunter Biden had shockingly just dropped his laptop full of a treasure trove of personal information that had massive political implications off at a MacBook repair shop. To me, these are both greatly of broad American interest. As an American individual, your ability to trade information that is rooted in truth, we have to decide as a country right here and now, are we willing to sit by and listen to what the powers that be at Twitter or any other entity, Facebook or any of these different outlets, are we willing to sit by and let them monitor what can be said and what cannot be said? Or are we going to entrust ourselves with the ability to comb through the muck, the grime, the nastiness on a place as depraved as even Twitter, to be able to use our own critical thinking skills to determine what is true? Because the free speech portion of the Bill of Rights, it's really, it's not pretty. It's not flowery. And any time that you're out there to discuss an issue and you get down to the free speech action of it, nobody talks about free speech when it's easy. Free speech is only a topic of conversation when it's difficult. Now, we could sit here and talk about how people can use their First Amendment rights to do hateful things, to say hateful things, to say hurtful things. When an individual says hateful and hurtful things, when they say it open and out there to a broad group of people, they are doing damage to themselves. And for at least with the veil of protecting those people who could be hurt by such words, somehow collectively, we have handed over power to some supreme authorities who happen to be in the right place at the right time, with the right connections in the right moment, to police what is hurtful and what is not. We have worked to eliminate one's possibility of being offended, and that's not part of the First Amendment. When I'm not advocating for like drinking or alcohol abuse here, so don't take this where I'm not. But you know how if someone has 2 drinks, they start getting real honest? You ever been with somebody at a outing or a party? Maybe it's a work function and it's somebody who you don't really know very well, but you get into a more casual social setting and they have a drink, maybe 2. And all of a sudden they start saying things and they come out a little bit less polished than they would have, pre-beverage being consumed. Do you feel like you know that person a little bit more when they're being more honest with you because they're uninhibited? That's, to me, one of those moments where if I choose to position myself in a conversation like that with somebody who has had maybe something that causes them to lose their inhibitions a little bit, and I am still of a sound mind, not to say that there's, anything wrong with enjoying a drink or 2, responsibly, of course. But if I am in a position where I am of a sound, uninhibited mind and the other individual is enjoying themselves, if a part of their persona comes out that I have never seen before, am I to believe that that's a more honest, true version of themselves? Do you take that into context in your future dealings with that person? I mean, it can go both ways, folks. You could find out that somebody who seems a little cold and rigid up front has a couple drinks and they lighten up and then they are way more fun and way more relaxed and you're like, I actually have a lot more in common with this person. But you get to the point where you understand somebody in a different way than you did before. The polished, probably professional and guarded nature of a person is not a lie, but when you find out more context about an individual, it makes your relationship in proximity to that person more informed. If you get down to the brass tacks of communication with somebody and you start finding out what kind of person this person really is, I want that information, even if it's in a bad light. If there's somebody who has a darkened heart and a hateful outlook, and they've been able to really polish it up and clean it up on the surface, but you find out, wow, this is not really who that person is. I want that information as soon as I can possibly access it, so that I know when I'm in context and proximity to that person, I know how to handle myself. And I know to distance myself from those characteristics that I don't want to be associated with. Free speech that, the element of free speech that permits people to show who they are to the world, to other individuals, is a good thing because it tells us as a whole that we need to be able to assess one another based on who they really are. It is so clear to me today. The idea that sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's how I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. It is completely reversed. We utilize violence to stop people from saying mean words. That's really backwards. If the words that are being said are so mean and people say them out loud, then we know who the they are in that scenario. Twitter put themselves in a position to know better than all of you and all of us. They put themselves in a position to police things that, in the end, when you factor in the COVID portion of this, could potentially have cost people lives. We don't know the truth of that. You can't even have this conversation anywhere because it is so incredibly politically charged. And all of the places, when you are shut down and locked in your home and you are relying on social media to connect with the world because you can't even go within 6 feet of somebody, a stranger in a grocery store who happens to be walking the wrong way down the aisle. You can't even converse with those people or even share a smile with them because you have a mask on your face. So what do? You push everybody to social media. You create Zoom meetings where you have Zoom meetings with people wearing masks. Oh my gosh. You push people into social media. And that's where the communication happens, except for when we were locked down. If you communicated or asked questions even that weren't approved by the masters, you were put in the corner. You were disallowed to participate in that conversation, and it follows you. It follows you wherever you go. That is un-American, and that is being questioned right now on Capitol Hill with these people and their testimony in front of this congressional committee to find out, how did you go about this process? They are completely inconsistent on what they deem to be threatening. They are completely inconsistent on who they assess that they are protecting, because it's not about protecting people. It's about advancing political ideology. Listen to AOC.
Mr. Roth, are you familiar with this account?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you aware that from August 11th to August 16th, that account posted false information about Boston Children's Hospital, claiming that they were providing hysterectomies to children?
Yes, I am aware of that and other claims from the account.
And are you aware that this lie was then circulated by other prominent far-right influencers?
Yes.
And are you aware that all these claims, which I have reiterated were false, culminated in a real-life harassment and ultimately a bomb threat to the Boston Children's Hospital?
Yes, I am aware.
And this account is still on that platform today, isn't it?
Regrettably, yes, it is.
Despite inspiring a bomb threat.
Well, at least from the context of that clip, I don't really know what she's advocating for. And I apologize that you had to listen to it. Ugh. The censorship that takes place on this platform is politically motivated and politically charged. I assume she's trying to say, look at these right-wing kooks who are still on Twitter. They weren't censored. The political lean that is connected with the actual federal government, documented in Twitter file after Twitter file after Twitter file, is one of the greatest concerns facing the country today, because it is the commoditizing of information in partnership with private enterprise and federal government interests, policing it before it gets to you. If that doesn't concern you from any side of the political aisle that you are on, if that doesn't make you nervous that you are not to be entrusted with the facts of what is going on, or more importantly, the ability to discern for yourself what you think about those facts, because that's where it lies, then I think you're not paying enough attention. Finally, the second part of this is Hunter Biden's laptop and the real potential election meddling that was done by Twitter to censor the New York Post story.
Here's the thing that strikes me about that. I thought maybe she was auditioning to be the next chair of Joe Biden's disinformation board. It's either that or she's been living in a cave for the last year. I mean, nobody says that it's disinformation anymore. I mean, even the most bald-faced liars like the Washington Post and the rest of the media now admit that actually, no, it's 100% real. As you pointed out, Hunter says it's actually his laptop. So listen, AOC and the rest of the Democrat Party, they love big tech censorship, Jesse. They love it. And they are willing to lie about it and to lie about the facts in order to keep the big tech censorship regime in place. That's what today was all about.
And if you call them out, if you call Twitter out right now and the Democrats who support this type of action, if you call them out now and you say, how dare you censor that New York Post article on the Hunter Biden laptop, they can say, oops, sorry. And then what? What's the consequence? What's the ramification for their actions? Some of those Twitter officials lost their job, but that's only because Elon Musk forked over $44 billion to get us to the point where we are right now. We can't count on that happening. If the goal was to help Joe Biden become the president or to keep Donald Trump from becoming the president, that's done. That's irreversible. Oh, sorry. That's how we say it in the Midwest. My bad. Is a public apology the embarrassment that they've earned? Is that enough? Is there any other consequence to be had here? I don't know. Let's ask Hans von Spakovsky about it when we come back. We're going to talk to him about that. We're going to talk to him about the New York Post article. We're going to talk to him about the censoring of COVID information on Twitter when we return. Hans with the Heritage Foundation in just a minute. Don't go away.
Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
My bad habits lead to late nights, sitting alone, conversations with a stranger.
AirComfortService.com is the website. I want you to understand how Air Comfort Service is dedicated to making sure that you are in your comfort zone, whether it is steaming hot outside or cold and blustery and windy like it is outside today. Air Comfort Services have 54 years of award-winning services that they have been helping people just like you, people like me, of course, with my furnace, my HVAC, my whole HVAC system, plus an AeroSeal duct sealing. They have been to my home to assess the equipment that we had that was part of the house when it was built, 20 plus years old, and it was just time to replace it. Air Comfort Service is who I called. I hope it's who you will call as well. 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. You can talk to them about what you are experiencing in your home or just sign up for one of their maintenance plans, $15 a month. Have them come out. That's where they start at. And service your equipment to keep it in good working order longer and to make sure you're not running it in a way that's going to cost you more with those increasing energy bills. Reach out to Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091. Tell them Annie sent you and get this process started today. AirComfortService.com.
That's deep, and it is a big fly!
Cardinals single game tickets for the 2023 season are on sale now and start at just $6. The schedule is filled with great matchups, including weekend series with the Yankees, Dodgers, Cubs, and more. The promo schedule is packed with fan favorites too, like jerseys, bobbleheads, legendary player tributes, and so much more. There's something for everyone in the 2023 season. Get your tickets now at Cardinals.com.
Roses are red, the birds on the bat are too, and the Cardinals have a gift idea just for you. This year, treat your Valentine to dinner and a game with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. From now through Valentine's Day, purchase all-inclusive tickets as low as $59 to see the Cards in April. All-inclusive tickets feature premium seats, a full buffet, and complimentary bar service. Hit a home run with your sweetie this Valentine's. For offer details, visit Cardinals.com.
Download Upside and start getting cash back wherever you roll. It's like having your own hype man. Get an average of 17% cash back at restaurants.
Oh, it's dinner time.
Average of 13% on groceries.
Get those groceries.
10 cents per gallon average cash back on gas.
It's go time.
Plus, cash back at participating convenience stores too.
Stacks on stacks.
Users can earn hundreds of dollars a year, 3 times more than other apps.
Upside, show me that money.
All right, we get it. It's easy. Just sign up for the free Upside app and start getting cash back for doing you. Download the free Upside app and use promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 on the free Upside app. Get cash back for doing you with the free app from Upside.
Attention bourbon lovers, Mark Cox here. Join me Thursday, March 2nd at the Clayton White House for an evening of sampling and mingling. Tickets include appetizers and tastings from some of the finest vendors in the market. Visit 971talk.com/events and get your tickets now.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
It's time for me to take it. I'm the boss right now, not gonna fake it. Now when you go down, 'cause this is my game, and you better come to play. I used to hold my freak back, now I'm letting go.
At no point does Twitter otherwise prevent tweeting, reporting, discussing, or describing the contents of Mr. Biden's laptop. People could and did talk about the contents of the laptop on Twitter or anywhere else, including other much larger platforms, but they were prevented from sharing the primary documents on Twitter. Still, over the course of that day, it became clear that Twitter had not fully appreciated the impact of that policy on free press and others. As Mr. Dorsey testified before Congress on multiple occasions, Twitter changed its policy within 24 hours and admitted its initial action was wrong. This policy revision immediately allowed people to tweet the original articles with the embedded source materials. Relying on its long-standing practice not to retroactively apply new policies, Twitter informed the New York Post that it could immediately begin tweeting when it deleted the original tweets, which would have freed them to retweet the same content again. The New York Post chose not to delete its original tweets, so Twitter made an exception after 2 weeks to retroactively apply the new policy to the Post's tweets. In hindsight, Twitter should have reinstated the Post account immediately.
Should have reinstated it immediately. When we talk about the Twitter censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop, it's a big ball of wax, because it's the idea that they censored something so quickly, the idea that they could censor it at all, the idea that they did not reinstate. The tentacles of the censorship were far beyond just the New York Post, which took forever to get their account back. And then that's all before we talk about what was actually on the Hunter Biden laptop and whether it has any connection to the American individual interest in this country because of the implications of its connection with the president of the United States.
We the people of the United States.
More perfect.
Your form of our perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Hans, when you have been consuming some of this testimony on the Twitter files, or even the Twitter files in and of themselves, I was talking in the first segment a little bit about the implication of the Hunter Biden New York Post censorship, but then there's also the whole censorship that had to do with COVID. Can you give me your top line thoughts over what you have experienced in some of this testimony so far that seems the most important to you?
Well, they're all trying. All the Twitter executives are trying to say now, this was just a mistake, and we shouldn't have done it. But they keep on claiming they weren't really aware of what they were doing, that this was just an error. But that's not what the Twitter disclosures show. The Twitter disclosures show that there were internal communications at the time in which executives were saying, well, there's no reason for us to prevent the New York Post story from going out. It doesn't fit within our policy of not publishing hacked materials. They knew at the time that what they were doing was wrong, and there's no explanation really that I can come up with for what they did other than because they knew it didn't fit their anti-hacking policy, that they realized that this might hurt the Biden campaign, and everybody at Twitter, all the top executives, were all big Biden and Democratic Party supporters. Now they're trying to say, it was just an error. But that's not what the disclosures show.
And, when I've been reading through these Twitter files, it's very evident that the FBI tipped off Twitter ahead of time and said, hey, It's the election. It's election season. And we have it on good authority to believe that there's going to be, a hack and release or whatever it was called, operation. And it's probably going to involve something that has to do with Hunter Biden. So in that essence, I almost look at Twitter and go, if the FBI is knocking on my door and saying, hey, this could happen, I want you to keep your eyes out for it, it falls directly in their lap. They make a knee-jerk reaction to it. I think that we can't discount the FBI's involvement in this censorship. It kind of makes the Twitter seem like the Barney Fife scenario for the censorship decision that they made.
Well, except that Barney Fife is actually, I think, the wrong analogy, because Barney Fife just made dumb errors. I think this was intentional on behalf of the FBI, because remember, they got the laptop a year prior, right? December 2019. The election is 2020. The New York Post article doesn't come out till what, October 2020? So they'd had it for a year. The FBI knew it was Hunter Biden's laptop. They knew it was not Russian disinformation, and yet they're still telling Twitter and other social media platforms, you got to be careful about this. And they didn't correct the impression they're giving that the Hunter laptop was Russian disinformation. The FBI had a deliberate, intentional hand in doing this.
So when we consider the timeline, as you're articulating here, of when the FBI was aware of this laptop, the contents of it, is first simple question: is there anything that's been reported that is on the laptop that has been debunked as false or planted? Is there any of the content from the laptop that isn't believed to be really, truly Hunter Biden's content?
No. And in fact, Hunter Biden's lawyers have basically indirectly had to admit, no, it's his laptop. The only thing they have said, they haven't made a single denial that what's on that laptop is authentic. In fact, they've been trying to distract attention from that by trying to convince the state attorney general, the attorney general of the United States, that somehow the computer repairman should be sued and prosecuted over the fact that he turned over this laptop. And that, of course, is just to distract folks from what's actually on the laptop.
Yeah, we're speaking with Hans von Spakovsky, a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, a very wise man on these legal matters. The reason I want to ask you that question as to whether or not the content of that laptop is in whole been proven to be Hunter Biden's material is because the next place that I want to go with this is the common disparaging remarks that people who are ultimately, it's a political campaign that they're waging in favor of Joe Biden to dismiss Hunter Biden. They apply the addiction that he clearly has. And honestly, a very sad story if you learn about Hunter Biden. He's lived a sad life, and it has taken a lot of sad turns. Those are the most salacious and graphic images that have come from this laptop. Those are an individual story that is a very sad story to me. Those are not of the public interest to the everyday American if they don't somehow involve the business of the American people through the trading on the last name connected to the man who was the vice president, who was campaigning to become the president. Where does it cross the line, if it does, into the sad story of an addict who's had a troubled life to, no, this is a much bigger deal than exposing and doing a political hit job on the Biden family?
Well, look, if the only thing the laptop showed was that, his sad drug addiction, his constant consorting with prostitution, and I mean that would be a personal family problem. But that is not the issue. The issue is the fact that Hunter Biden went into business with foreign companies and foreign governments, including the Communist Party and Communist Party-owned businesses in China, while his father was vice president. And the issue is, did he and the Biden family make money using the vice president's position? Why was Hunter Biden taken along if he's making money off of his father's name and position? Why was he taken along on official vice presidential trips to places like China and elsewhere? That is all evidence of possible public corruption, and it affects not just Hunter Biden, but potentially his family and, most importantly, the current president of the United States. That's when it transfers over into the concern of the American public and needs to be investigated and thoroughly aired out as exactly what happened.
Hans, from what you've seen from this laptop, the reports in the laptop, and potentially connecting the dots to other stories and evidence that might be out there right now, which connections do the Biden family, Hunter, and potentially through his father, what connections, foreign connections, have been identified that have you raising your eyebrows, wanting more answers to?
There were literally hundreds of millions of dollars from Chinese companies, like I said, controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, that came under the management of Hunter Biden and his business partners. China is a recognized enemy of the United States, one that wants to do us in. That raises many questions. So does what happened with the Ukrainian energy company that was paying Hunter Biden millions of dollars when he had absolutely no experience whatsoever in that industry. I mean, those all raise issues, and particularly because, look, what have we been hearing about those classified documents that were found in various locations of Joe Biden? Some sources are saying they concerned China. Well, were those classified documents, again, used improperly by the Biden family to further their business interests? We don't know that, but it's something that needs to be looked into.
And you made this comment last week, and it stuck with me. If there is no reason for any of these documents that are classified, that are in question, if there's no reason to be concerned about why he might have had them in his possession, that it was just a staffer who was sloppy, which is what the Biden administration is saying, that ended up packing them up and placing them in his garage next to the Corvette, then declassify those documents and let the world see that this was unfortunate and probably irresponsible, but it wasn't nefarious. He hasn't done that yet, has he?
No, he hasn't. In fact, as you know, he had an interview over the weekend with Judy Woodruff, in which he said, well, I've been told I can't talk about this. Well, who told him he can't talk about it? He's the president. He can do whatever he wants. And if he didn't do anything wrong, then why doesn't he tell the American people what exactly happened what these documents concerned or were about, there's nothing to prevent him from doing that.
Yeah, unless his lawyers are like, it would be not great for you to be saying too many things about this. And that causes me and you to ask even more questions. Well, we'll continue to cover this story, and I'll be looking forward to watching the House Republicans continue to compel information and see if they get anywhere, Hans. We're grateful for your expertise each week.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we'll do it again. Hans von Spakovsky, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation and DOJ lawyer, among many other accomplishments and accolades. The question that I have is, why are you so dismissive? If you're looking at this and you're like, non-story, nothing burger, I wish we could get rid of that word. The same people who will challenge this as a non-evidential political pipe dream for Republicans will still come on and call Donald Trump a Russian asset. Give me a break. I mean, it's really not even worth my time. It's so obvious. It's right there in front of you. Gosh, knock it off. But I digress. At least the House is run by Republicans right now in the slimmest of majorities, but yet that matters. The Democrats would take it every day of the week and twice on Sundays, just like they vote. And I just look at the outcome, the eventual outcome, what is the goal, the progress that is supposed to be made on this. Like, if you think that Joe Biden's going to be in jail, that's not going to how it goes. It's probably going to be the worst thing that could happen to Joe Biden is a political empire collapse. And that means he probably just retires to one of his wealthy homes and works on his Corvette or sits in it or whatever he does. Let's take a quick break. Ryan Wiggins in studio with Wiggins America. When we come back, there's a state that's looking to make Super Bowl Monday a holiday, and Ryan is going to talk about that in just a minute. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
What's wrong with being confident? What's wrong with being confident? It's time to get
Retirement Advisory Group, Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw's wife, Tammy. This family business cares about your family business, the business of retiring, and being able to walk into that retirement with the exhale and probably the nice sun hat that you deserve. The ability to know that your sacrifices over the years, the decades that you've been setting aside money and thinking about tomorrow instead of thinking about the here and now and the today all the time, you've prepared. Now you want to make sure that as you get closer to retirement, if you're 55-ish or a little bit older, and you're thinking, okay, now I need to start thinking about preserving the assets that I have saved as opposed to just accumulation, Thomas Helbig is your guy. You can sit down for a free, no cost, no obligation retirement review by calling 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. Costs you nothing. There is zero obligation. You're just going to have a conversation with Thomas and his crew at Retirement Advisory Group and see how they can help you. And then you make a decision for yourself. I trust you, of course. Get your worry-free retirement underway with the Retirement Advisory Group. You can learn more at retirementkey.com.
If you want to lose weight, I've got a great idea for you. Mark Cox here for my friends at Victory Men's Health. They're now offering FDA-approved semaglutide. They have tremendous results with this medication. The average patient loses 15% of their body weight. Men and women can get semaglutide from Victory Men's Health at any of their 3 locations. Be sure and book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Have you been lied to by Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine? Hi, this is best-selling author Don Chamberlain from right here in Greater St. Louis, and I want to give you a copy of my new book, Crash Proof Wealth, because according to Time magazine, Wall Street's retirement plans in 401ks and IRAs have failed millions of Americans. After seeing the last market crash over 39%, I had enough. There may be a way to grow your money when the market goes up, potentially double digits in good years, reduce taxes, and have my principal protected if the market declines again. Call Chamberlain Group now to get my free book and talk to me personally to discover the strategy to get potential double-digit growth during good years and never lose principal if the market declines again. Call 1-800-807-3838 to discover this asset, and I'll even cover shipping and handling. No credit card required. Call 1-800-807-3838. That's 1-800-807-3838. Again, 1-800-807-3838.
Mark Reardon sees clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Maholtred Ophthalmology Associates. You can too. Go to youridoc.com today. That's youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is where real local and national accountability happens. This is 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I think we're over 5,100 subscribers on YouTube. So if this ascent in our YouTube subscribers continues to increase quickly, Brad, you guys are going to have to get on that next dance
Have
faster.
to dance again?
I think that was the deal.
Oh,
you guys said
man.
you would.
Oh, yeah, we will.
The people want it.
I still get cold sweats thinking about that dance being on the internet.
I do too. People are coming up to me who I didn't even know listened to the show and be like, hey, saw you dancing. I'm like, are you kidding me? That thing is out there.
Dude, you don't, like, I have kids that were former youth group kids that are coming up as like, hey, I saw you on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like we're coming across other, like, no connection to the show. We're coming across their feeds. I'm like,
yes.
Oh, man.
I'm glad you're experiencing it too, because I have, and I thought, this is a little much. You are too.
I was like, it's just a stupid dance, but still, I'm like, ugh.
We were I was telling a story the other day about the basketball locker room after our last game with our oldest group of girls. And at the end of the season, they presented my husband and I with a very generous gift card for coaching them. And one of the 8th graders, she's very silly and fun, but she presented this thing to us in like a British accent, which she nailed. I don't know why. I'd never heard her do that before. But she mentioned in there that she was bestowing this gift card upon us. And she said something about how I was honorably followed by John Cena on Twitter. The funniest thing about, so John Cena followed me on Twitter like last week or something. Did he follow you?
No.
Did he follow you? I don't know why he followed us, but he's following everybody. If you put in John Cena's name in Twitter and just look at latest, it's just a whole bunch of nobodies like me going, this is the biggest day of my life. John Cena followed me. I don't know what his PR system, I think he's like running for president or something, but he's following over 500,000 people. I am not one to believe that John Cena is following me. I don't think that that's how that manufactured itself. Every once in a while I'll get a really cool follow on Twitter and I might share it with Brad or whatever. But when John Cena followed me, I think I sent that to you and I was like, why?
I can't see that.
And then I think he's followed twice as many people. So I don't know that John Cena knows he has Twitter.
You think it's like the John Cena account that's doing this for whatever reason?
Just search John Cena on Twitter and see how many people he's made happy. It's a charity. It's fantastic.
Well, John, if you're listening, you haven't followed me or Brad yet.
I didn't mean it like that. As soon as I started telling that story, I'm like, it's not going to come out. I'm trying to get Brad's attention to play Wiggins America. Are you searching?
He doesn't follow me.
He's looking to see.
Are you searching for John Cena on Twitter?
Yeah.
No, play Wiggins America.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but growing up anyway, it's not as much this way now for us, but growing up in the Wiggins household, Super Bowl Sunday was almost a holiday. There were so many traditions that we did every year with getting things out. There was TVs on in every room. Of course, the food was very important. You had to have wings. You had to have dips. You had to have chips and little smokies. And if the Andreas family, the Kinnisons came over, we were going to have steak, of course, if they were there. Now, though, it has become a holiday that people are legitimately talking about making a holiday, Super Bowl Monday, because everybody stays up late on Sunday, and people have talked about this for years, but now actual legislation is being introduced in pockets around the country. The one that I pulled up here is from Tennessee. Senators London Lamar and Representative Joe Towns Jr. This actually has a chance of passing, but we'll see. This week, introduced a bill that would replace Columbus Day with Super Bowl Monday. Now they've since backed off of that.
What was that you just said?
This bill in Tennessee would have replaced Columbus Day. Yeah. They would have said, no, well, we won't celebrate that, and we'll celebrate this in lieu of that. They've backed off of that, but now they're still proposing that Super Bowl Monday be a holiday statewide in Tennessee, and this is proposed around the country in pockets. I just wonder if this is, A, a big enough day for you that you would appreciate that, and B, what you think about the idea of a Super Bowl Monday holiday.
I mean, I'll go out on a limb here and say I'm pretty clear, and Brad's been pretty clear on how we feel about the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't care too much.
That being said, though, that doesn't preclude me from wanting an extra day off, even if I don't watch or partake in the celebrations of the game or whatever.
Days off that you don't have a close personal tie to, the best. There's like no obligation. But does this country need more reasons to not work? And who's going to get this day off? Government workers. We're not going to get this day off. It's the stupidest thing ever. If you want to have the day off after Super Bowl, move the whole freaking season back 1 week, and President's Day is that Monday, and you have the day off. I do not know why they haven't done this already.
Well, you don't even have to put the week break in between the last playoff game.
Oh,
and
yes,
the
you
Super
do.
Bowl.
They make money then.
What?
They do make a lot of money because the original reason they did that, which was about 10, 15 years ago, they moved it to 2 weeks after instead of 1 week after the last game, is because they moved it to always be in February sweeps. So it used to sometimes fall in January. Now it always falls in February.
If you really want to have that day off, you have a Monday. That means we would have 2 Mondays off in a row. That's stupid. And suggesting that we should have... first of all, it's just in Tennessee. So it's not like this is actually seriously being considered anywhere around here. So to say that we need to have a day off because you want to celebrate the Super Bowl on Monday, the game is at 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah, 5:30. Never starts on time, but it's supposed to.
The game's not at 8 o'clock. The State of the Union is at 9 o'clock. Make the next day a day off so people have to watch and look at what is running the country.
You make a good point.
And drink if you feel like you want to do that. And you need to sleep it off the next day. I feel like the work and effort that I put into this job makes me want to have to sleep it off the next day. I don't have that choice. It would be every day when Biden's the president.
The compromise that I am willing to make here is that, and they're doing this in and around Philadelphia this year. So the collar counties around Philadelphia have many of them called school off on Monday this year.
Sure. Do whatever you want on a local level.
I think the same thing. If this is your city, if St. Louis was in the Super Bowl.
I have way more effort and energy into saying that opening day Cardinals baseball should be a day off. Steve, you hear me? You got pull.
But I think that's very fair, is to say if your city's playing the Super Bowl, make it a holiday, because everybody is going to be genuinely celebrating, getting together at parties, doing stuff, probably pretty late when it's your city. But if it's not, I don't know why Tennessee needs a day off, or anybody else, unless your team's playing in the Super Bowl. It's fun. I legitimately think the Super Bowl is a fun day, though. You guys apparently aren't doing much plans for Sunday, though.
I will remind you how we discussed in the show last Sunday how my husband and I spent about 4 minutes discussing if the Super Bowl was that day. We did not know.
So you never go to parties or anything?
What do you mean?
For a Super Bowl? You don't ever...
I have been to Super Bowl parties when we had a team here that I was passionately supportive of, and then the NFL screwed us over, and no, I haven't really been motivated.
I'm a little surprised that you're not. I thought you'd be a Super Bowl
It's
guy.
the exact same reason she doesn't like it. I was a huge Rams fan.
You're going to dedicate all your time and passion to love it. I mean, if I sit and start watching a football game, I want to watch it. It's entertaining. Of course it is, because they prioritize lying and money over everything. It's just like government. It hurts to watch it.
I love watching the commercials, though.
I would. This sounds terrible, but I compare it to somebody dumping
Someone just
you.
said Battlehawks in the comments. I'm with
If the girl dumps you, she doesn't want to be with you anymore. Why am I going to spend time trolling her Instagram or anything like that? Okay, you don't want me? Cool, be gone.
Yeah, I have way more principle for that in my life on that particular issue than I do on a lot of other things. Like the idea that I would give the NFL even an ounce of my attention. That's what I have to say. Quote me.
I think that I will.
How do you spell that?
THWWWP.
That's not.
Well, I came close. I'm going to give myself a solid B+ for the effort.
On spelling?
On spelling that.
On spelling.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking on this segment.
Yeah, well.
It's like the B/C category from yesterday.
Yeah. That's fine.
I would have rather done the segment than the State of the Union, though.
You would rather do this whole segment than watch the State of the Union?
Tyrus is going to be on when we come back. Don't go away.
Station KFTK, an equal opportunity employer, is dedicated to providing a broad outreach for job vacancies at our stations. We seek the help from local community organizations in referring qualified applicants to our stations. Community organizations that wish to receive our job vacancy information can reach out to Frankie Fan at 206-577-2432. In addition, all listeners are encouraged to visit Odyssey.com for an online listing of job vacancies of all Odyssey radio stations.
Hi, this is Terry Hall, host of the popular radio show for veterans, Vet Time in America. Sundays at 12 noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Our show is all about veterans. We talk with experts. We help you get benefits, how to get more, and what to do if you're not getting what you deserve. Tune in on Sunday at noon. Join the conversation. We take calls. Vet Time in America. Tune in this Sunday at noon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Maybe even one in Susie's room, too. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
52 for the high this afternoon, but it really doesn't feel that warm because it's really windy out there all afternoon long. Tonight, partly cloudy 32. Friday, clouds, a touch of light rain and wet snow in the morning. Partly sunny for the afternoon and colder. 35 on Friday, 22 Friday night. Saturday, 42. Sunday, 52. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Attention bourbon lovers, Mark Cox here. Join me Thursday, March 2nd at the Clayton Wine House for an evening of sampling and mingling. Tickets include appetizers and tastings from some of the finest vendors in the market. Visit 971talk.com/events and get your tickets now.
What's now?
Right now.
Crisis at the border. What's next?
They'll wait till the report comes out.
It's what matters.
Losing healthcare.
97.1 FM Talk.
Effort, but the task is monumental. A young girl and her father were rescued overnight in the city of Antanka, but with every hour that passes, survival chances decrease.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. It's now the worst earthquake disaster in more than a decade, surpassing the more than 18,000 killed by the 2011 quake and tsunami in Japan. At least 3 U.S. citizens are among the dead in Turkey. A Minnesota congresswoman is attacked in the elevator of her D.C. apartment building. Democrat Angie Craig's chief of staff says the congresswoman is bruised, but otherwise physically okay. The assault happened this morning. The statement says the congresswoman defended herself and called 911, and the suspect fled the scene. No evidence at this point that the attack was politically motivated. Pennsylvania Senator and stroke survivor John Fetterman has been hospitalized after feeling lightheaded while attending a Democratic retreat. His office says he was hospitalized for observation and that initial tests did not show evidence of a new stroke. House Republicans holding a hearing on allegations the federal government is being weaponized to target people.
As the Twitter files reveal, these actors work in concert to defeat their political opponents and promote left-wing ideology and government control over our lives.
Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson among those testifying. Democrats say Republicans just want to settle political scores.
They've proven that they will weaponize the government not just against the other party, but against anyone who refuses to bend to the will and whim of one Donald Trump.
Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin as the Justice Department and the FBI deny any weaponization. America is listening to Fox News.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids than ride in an ambulance.
I'd rather have a catch with my dog Curtis than catch pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease, asthma, or diabetes, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20 pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Learn more at Prevnar20.com. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
52 for the high this afternoon, but it really doesn't feel that warm because it's really windy out there all afternoon long. Tonight, partly cloudy 32. Friday, clouds, a touch of light rain and wet snow in the morning. Partly sunny for the afternoon and colder. 35 on Friday, 22 Friday night. Saturday, 42. Sunday, 52. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS employees and enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Conservative Care is our monthly action plan to make a difference in our community. Hi, this is Kathleen from the Mark Cox Morning Show, and in February, we're focused on the Animal Protective Association of Missouri, connecting people with animals in need of homes. Learn more at 971talk.com/care.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us.
Right? You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And let's look at the Gallup poll. The Gallup poll today says 41% of Americans say that they're not better off under Joe Biden. In fact, 16% say they're better off. That is the worst indictment of our economy since 2008 and 2009, when we were in true recession. Compared to 2020, January 2020, right before the pandemic hit, 59% told Gallup they were better off. Now it's 16%. I mean, you can't argue with the numbers if you want to mention the last administration. The way people feel, people's perception of the economy is Joe Biden's raw political reality. They don't feel more prosperous.
You're becoming like my most stable relationship.
Enough said.
Well, let's talk about what Kellyanne Conway was just saying there to Fox News contributor, co-host of Gutfeld, co-host of the Tyrus and Tim podcast, and author Tyrus, who's with us each week here. Welcome back to the show, Tyrus. Great to have you here.
Always a pleasure, Annie.
So when you hear Kellyanne Conway say that 16% of people feel like they're better off now than they were prior to this administration, my question to you is not, do you feel better off, but do you think that these poll numbers and the things that the pollsters squeeze out of the test groups that they talk to, does any of this translate to people who are in power in our federal or state governments to do something about it?
Well, I tend to not so much look at polls. I look at my neighborhood. I talk to my friends. I talk to the people at the grocery market. And it kind of mirrors what Kellyanne Conway was talking about. I think a lot of people have to have 2 jobs, in some cases 3 jobs to make ends meet. Inflation everywhere. And again, the 16%, yeah, if you make a certain amount of money, whether eggs go up $3 or $4 or gas goes up, it doesn't really affect you that much. But for those of us in this country that work week to week, that have a mortgage, they're trying to put their kids through school or medical bills and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's a lot. And I think people are frustrated, and they don't really see any even acknowledgement of their issues or their suffering. And to say gas prices are cheaper now than they were like 10 years ago or something like that is ridiculous. So we see what it is, and everyone's feeling the pinch, and it's just, and then when they look for answers, they get questions or whataboutisms, or they refer you to a different office. So I think the frustration is real.
Yeah, I think that it is too. And to me, it seems as though a lot of the political messaging that we see during campaigns in an election season has a lot more to do with explaining to people their victimhood and their plight, and how if you elect the other guy, it's going to get worse. And then we have an election, the election goes by, somebody gets elected, and then we kind of see the same campaign cycle the next time. Doesn't seem like a lot of the focus is on fixing those types of problems.
Yeah, well, that's the American voter. We have to start looking in the mirror when we vote, not necessarily what patch we have on our shoulder and how it affects our household. You know, I was the State of the Union. I was just flabbergasted that his answer to the fentanyl poisoning problem was drug detection machines. They're just completely out of touch. And when you look for answers, and those are the type of answers that you get back, it's frustrating, and people kind of crawl in their tents, and that's where we're at right now in this country.
Yeah.
We thought things were going to be different, but I think there's a lot of buyer's remorse.
Tyrus, do you see a lot of people were saying leading into the State of the Union that this would be kind of the beginning of his campaign for re-election? When you look at what President Biden has done so far, he does have a lot of accomplishments that you could write down on a resume, but we all know that resumes are often rosier than the reality. Do you feel like he has a case to run for re-election and that the Democratic Party should back him?
No one in the Democratic Party should back him just based off his speech patterns, his gait when he walks. He clearly is having some form of of the aging process. I'm not saying it, but it's definitely there. When again, the State of the Union, he spoke for 72 minutes, and there was a lot of just strange things coming out of his mouth and run-on sentence and things that didn't make sense, and that's not how you send a clear message. And it's funny, but sad funny, is even when he couldn't make any sense, I believe he's saying he was going to veto something, and the Democrats stood up and cheered anyway. And that to me is problematic. And they should be able to have somebody to run who can send a clear message. Even if I don't like the message, it should be clear. And he seems tired. He seems out of it. His yelling spurts made zero sense. Who would want to change place with China? I think quite a few people would. But again, it's just nonsense. And when he does go off script, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
We're going to be on oil for another decade. What? Like it's laughable. So no, I don't think he's running for re-election. If he does, that's just arrogance, or the people who are able to make him agree with their decisions behind the scenes are just they're playing with house money, and they're going to try to get another 4 years out of the turnip. But I don't foresee that coming. I think it would be a huge mistake for the Democratic Party to have Biden run again. But it should. But if you're a Republican and you can't beat Joe Biden on a second term, then we really need to look in the mirror at our party and what we're not doing.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. Tyrus joining us now. You see him on Gutfeld. He's a Fox News contributor. He's also an author of his own book, Just Tyrus, a memoir. I highly recommend it. Have read it myself. Tyrus, when you look at the Republican Party, and as you said, if the Republicans don't have a host of people who can beat this guy, then it's time for the GOP to look inward as opposed to outward. Do you have any bright spots that are particularly of interest to you in the Republican Party right now?
I like Tim Scott. I think obviously DeSantis, Abbott. I think there's guys that have shown great leadership during the pandemic. I like temperance, understanding, willing to reach across the aisle for the better good. But I think the Republicans have more youth than necessarily the Democratic Party does. But, I mean, they got Newsom and the VP and Booker and the new speaker, the new minority speaker. So, I mean, they have people that they're probably going to rally around. I don't know, like I said, what happens, but I feel pretty comfortable. Nikki Haley, President Trump is still a force. Let's not forget that. So I think we're in good hands in terms of ideas, but it's just whether they can get the American people to buy into it. Will independents buy into it, into the Republican Party's message? Mm-hmm. And that's just what it comes down to. You can't, whatever Democrats are doing, they're getting more votes than us. So we have to look inward regardless, period. What are we not doing? What is our problem with our messaging? What are we missing? And I think that should be the questions Republicans should be asking themselves instead of screaming and calling the president a liar and complaining. We should be getting together and figuring out plans and ways to do things that are going to appeal to the American people.
Yeah, that's so on point. And I was articulating this story a little bit earlier this week in my shows. I helped my husband coach girls basketball, our daughter grade school basketball up through 8th grade. And we were playing a tough team. The referees had decided that we're not going to call too many fouls. They didn't want to get too lopsided. And it was the end of the first quarter, and I'm out there trying to motivate these girls to go out and, like, while you still have a chance to win, you got to figure out how to win under these circumstances. We ended up pulling the game off, a riveting 19-11 victory or something like that. And in the locker room afterwards, I told them I was really proud of them because they had a decision to make early on whether they were going to try to win under these circumstances or they were going to be content to lose with excuses. And I thought about that later a lot after we got done with the basketball portion of it. And it's so politically relative to the climate that I think the Republicans are competing in right now, because there are a lot of Republicans, I hear them, they comment on the show, they will call in and make this point that they don't think it's a fair fight no matter what, that Republicans are going to lose because the Democrats have changed the game so much. To me, that's losing with excuses. And I don't sleep well laying in bed on my pillow at night thinking about the reasons why I lost and why it's unfair. I'd rather try to win.
Yeah, I'll take my L's in life knowing that I left it all on the table. I'm not going to say, well, there's no way I can win. If that was my philosophy, I'd still be bouncing clubs in L.A. So it's so simple, but it's just as simple as coaching a girls' basketball game. The same thing with the Republican Party. If you're not reaching, then what are you reaching? Look at the climate. Look at people. Look at a better way to treat veterans. One of the things, and this was just one of my stand-up shows during the Q&A. They asked me if I was president, what I would do. And here's an idea: if you serve this country and you're a veteran, you pay taxes with your body. And fiscally, it does not affect the country at all. Veterans didn't have to pay taxes for giving their service. American people will get behind that. Do something with the cost of Medicare stuff. There's things that you can do that will appeal to the people. Maybe you got to bend a little bit, but smaller government, and people will appeal to it if it's said the right way. Yeah. But spending all your time complaining about what they do, you just get sucked up into the narrative. And so just focus on that. And that's just one idea, that someone can turn into something that's tangible and mathematically does not hurt the country at all. But you might get some independence. You might get that's giving the American people something back. That's inspiring people to start getting our enlistments back up, in our military. Yeah. And it's a good way to say thank you to the citizens of this country, who, in a time when being the person who's willing to sacrifice everything, is not looked at necessarily fashionably by the education system, by the colleges, by the woke, etc. So start giving people something to cheer for. Yeah. And I think that makes a difference.
Before we let you go, speaking with Tyrus right now, so the Super Bowl is this weekend. You're a big football fan, as we understand. I'm curious if you think, I will add the caveat that here in St. Louis, we are a little bitter when it comes, and I'm speaking very personally, I am very bitter when it comes to the NFL. But the Chiefs are in it, and they're right here in our neck of the woods. A lot of people are going to be paying attention to it. The NFL has been very politicized over the last couple decades. I'm curious if you think that the NFL has made a shift and tried to get back to the business of football and out of the business of kind of the social justice or more political angled amplification, if you feel like that's been a change at all.
Well, woke stuff usually hurts businesses. It hurts the movies industry, and it hurts football. We go to watch a football game to escape. I think the young men who busted their ass to get to the Super Bowl, it's their day, and that's what people are going to be focused on. They're going to watch the game, and no one's going to want to talk about climate control or what pronoun to use during the NFL Super Bowl. So I think they're getting back to basics and let's celebrate the athletes on the field. I don't have a dog in this hunt, but my money would be on the Eagles on this one, and I am not an Eagles fan. They besmirched the GOAT Tom Brady's good name in that one Super Bowl. So he should have caught the damn ball.
Oh, we could, we could talk about Tom Brady here in St. Louis. We're not. There's some rough games there between the Patriots and the Rams for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Tyrus,
we won those.
Yeah, you did. Well, one of them you kind of took, but anyway.
Yeah.
Tyrus, we'll talk to you again next week. We thank you each week for being on here with us and looking forward to having you back in the area very soon.
All right, Coach.
Sounds great. Bye-bye. Tyrus, co-host of the Tyrus and Tim podcast, Gutfeld, co-host as well. Always love to tune in and see him on there doing his thing. And we are so grateful that he gives us his time here each week on the Annie Frey Show. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about Turkey. Man, the details of what's coming out of Turkey are heartbreaking. And I do think it's an important discussion to have to remind us of what else is going on in the world. It's very easy to get wrapped up in the idea that everything centers around political maneuvers. Boy, is that short-sighted. What's the latest information from Turkey? We will talk about that when we come back. Don't worry.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
So Valentine's Day is next Tuesday. There is still time this afternoon, this weekend, to visit the Diamond Shop. And I want you to understand that there is a great savings event taking place right now. All in stock merchandise. at the Diamond Shop. All in-stock jewelry, 30% off. If you reach out to them on their website, thediamondshop.net, if you have a question about something before you head in there, if you want to participate in this amazing sale, go see what they have in stock. And here's the extra special thing. If you mention my name, Annie Frey, you're going to get an extra additional 10% off your purchase. Wonderful products, beautiful pieces for men, for women. They have jewelry, they have watches, necklaces, they have a whole array of things that are going to fit any kind of budget. And when you get to save 30% off all in-stock jewelry and an additional 10% when you mention my name, this is really, really hard to pass up. Go visit the Diamond Shop. They're located in Clayton, online right now at thediamondshop.net.
If you need a new bath or shower in the new year, call my friends at Bath Fitter of St. Louis. Mark Cox here. We love our new shower and tub enclosure. It looks fantastic. No demolition, no mess, and a lifetime guarantee. Right now, they're having a sale for 20% off up to $1,000 or zero interest until 2028. That's 5 years. Call 636-338-1648. That's 636-338-1648. Bath Fitter of St. Louis.
I'm Howard Mackler of GetRefunds.com. You may have heard me talk about the payroll tax refund program that gives businesses up to $26,000 for every employee they kept on payroll during COVID. But today, I'm not going to do the talking. I'm letting a real Get Refunds client tell you everything.
I'm Ray, owner of Manzi Insurance and Real Estate. I heard about the payroll tax refund and GetRefunds.com on the radio. When COVID hit my business, I scrambled to figure out how to protect our employees and customers while still being able to service our clients' needs. They got me approved for a payroll tax refund, and with that money, it allowed me to upgrade our technology to provide the means for some employees to work remote while also protecting those that return to the office. If you have a business, you should go to GetRefunds.com and start your claim today.
GetRefunds.com helped their business, and we can help yours too. Go to GetRefunds.com and see if you qualify in just 8 minutes. GetRefunds.com, powered by Innovation Refunds.
101 for many years. Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 3 times a week. Yes, 3 times every weekend. Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common-sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness 101, now 3 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
After a decade of rising home values, Fed Chair Powell says we're entering a difficult market correction. Translation, your home's value is likely to plunge. That's bad news for all homeowners, but especially if you're retired or nearing retirement and need the cash that's tied up in your home. Here's a smart solution, TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home today before values plunge. But here's what makes TrueHold unique. You can continue living in your home with a comfortable rent. The cash is yours now to do whatever you like. Travel and enjoy retirement, invest it, pay off all your bills, whatever. TrueHold even covers property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. TrueHold is the simple, easy solution to unlock financial freedom without having to move and disrupt your life. Discover how much TrueHold will give you now, while its value is high. Call 855-300-9993. Again, 855-300-9993. That's TrueHold. Visit TrueHold.com. TrueHold.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
State Senator Nick Schroer. Don't talk sexuality and sexual content with my minor child. It has nothing to do with being gay, being straight, being a tiger or a unicorn.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Tearing me down. It's been a while since you treated me right. You strung me along for far too long, cause I never gave up the fight. Until now, it's gonna hit you hard till you see stars. It's gonna put you through a world of hurt. Oh, I don't believe in getting even, but getting what you deserve.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being with us this afternoon. We talked with Hans von Spakovsky at 12:25 today about the Twitter testimony taking place on Capitol Hill about the Hunter Biden laptop, among the other censorship that took place. If you missed that, it's a great opportunity to download the Odyssey app. If you haven't yet, AUDACY, download it. And you can search two things, Annie Frey Show, and click follow at the top right when you see that, or the 97.1 FM Talk portion of Odyssey, and you can stream the whole station. So all of us, all day, anywhere you go and have signal, you can follow us up there. But if you follow the Annie Frey Show, you can get our podcasts and stuff as well. You just rewind to 12:25 if you missed that and you want to listen to it now or later, whatever. Tyrus just got done speaking with him as well. This news coming out of Turkey about this earthquake is so sad and heartbreaking to consume. This is an NBC report.
It's a chaotic scene. There are people huddled here in the cold. Some are crying. Multiple buildings on this block have collapsed, and there's an active search and rescue operation underway.
But every few minutes, they discover another body, and another family is crushed with agony.
So the reports now are saying that there are nearly 20,000 deaths because of this Turkey-Syria earthquake. That's the latest news that they're reporting right now out of Turkey. Fox News says while rescuers in Turkey and Syria continue to search for survivors after Monday's 7.8 magnitude earthquake, hopes of finding more people alive in the rubble 3 days after the disaster starting to fade. And at the point of the writing of this, it said 15,000 people are confirmed dead. It has been increased since then. Emergency crews working through the night managed to pull a young girl trapped in the ruins of a building to safety, according to the news agency IHA via the Associated Press. 2 hours later, they also rescued her father. The city is approximately 300 miles east of Antakya, maybe? Rescuers freed an injured woman from a collapsed building, but found 3 others dead next to her, according to a report from the Turkish news agency DHA. This is so sad to see this, and it's powerful, and I think it's important to identify because in the context of a 3-hour show here on the Annie Frey Show on 97.1, we talk about politics, and I've said this, and when I say this, it's as much of a reminder to me as it is to you. But if we're sitting around thinking about all of the problems that we're being faced with on a daily basis, if you think you have to wait for 2024 for another election for a Republican to replace a Democrat to fix those problems, they're not problems. If there's an ounce of anything that you can do in the meantime, that's about as conservative as it gets, is to identify a concern, an issue, and trust the people with the responsibility to mend that break as much as you possibly can in the process. But at the same time, while we were watching President Biden deliver a State of the Union that half of us can't stand and half of us love, if you're watching a Chinese spy balloon traverse the entire United States and you're thinking, what in the world are we doing? Who is in charge? Or you think, that was exactly what I would have done should I be the president. Who are you? If you're consumed with all of these thoughts, you can look at an earthquake that takes place in the Turkey-Syria area and get caught off guard by that, because that's an act of God. And I say that as somebody who's faith-based, but I mean, like, your insurance has an act of God clause in it. If something is an act of God, that will determine sometimes whether or not you have coverage or not. But I think the magnitude, no pun intended, of an event like this and the powerful ability of the earth to do what it has done and to take the lives of 20,000 people, it's frightening to assess that and go, am I prepared to withstand something like that? And there's no bickering back and forth with somebody. There's no like political side on earthquakes. The earthquake is not going to discern whose lives it takes and whose it does not. To me, that was COVID at first in a really impactful way, because at first COVID, when it first hit, I remember in my mind and having discussions with my family about this, like, what was scarier? Is COVID scarier, or it was 9/11 scarier, as, the aftermath of it? Because when I watched as a 17-year-old those towers come down because somebody hated us, the fear that is instilled is we need to go find those people. That gives your thought process a start and a finish. Where you are now and when the job is complete. COVID didn't really have that at the time. We didn't know. I have a lot of latitude for people and the decisions that they made probably up until the end of April or May. A lot of hindsight or Monday morning quarterbacking on the issue can make it seem like, well, obviously this, that, and the other thing. It just wasn't obvious at the time. It was very scary. It was very frightening. That's how I felt. Now, if you were sitting here thinking that I'm an idiot or I'm ignorant for thinking that, I could give you a lot of other reasons why you're going to think I'm ignorant, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. But it's important to remember the moment in time when this first started happening. It was terrifying. My grandmother was alive. She passed away in September of 2020. She was 95. She had a heart attack. She didn't have COVID. I lost months of time spending with her because of lockdowns in the state of Illinois, emergency orders that are still in place, which makes me assess where we were and how far we've come and the people who still want to cling to that kind of power, because the most motivating thing in the world is fear. And you take COVID, and when I compare COVID to an earthquake like this thing comes out of the blue and it feels as though you can't do anything to contain it. You can't do anything to fight it. It's coming for whomever it chooses to come for. Like I said, it's indiscernible. That is terrifying. Of course, we are a distant amount of time from COVID, and we have learned a lot, and we have seen so much advantage taking on the fear that people had due to that virus. But I wonder if we are quick to overlook something like an earthquake and just, it's 20,000 people are dead. Think about the town you live in. How many people live in your town? What portion of your town, if not the whole thing, is 20,000 people gone? You listen to this story of this woman being dug out of the rubble. There were 3 people that were dead next to her. Do you think that woman knew those people? Was she related to them? Were those 3 people that were next to her her coworkers that she spent the better part of her day with each day? They're dead, and she made it out of rubble alive. And then what do you do with the rest of your life? Every time I see a tragedy like this, I feel like in many cases it's easy to gloss over because there are more interesting and salacious things to talk about that grab our attention and cause us to, engage in dynamic conversation. What do you say about an earthquake that takes 20,000 lives? It really invokes an incredibly hopeless mood. I'm curious if you see something like that, if you have something that still gives you hope in the midst of what appears to be just utterly hopelessness. Somebody getting pulled from the rubble 3 days later, there's hope in that. Those 3 people who died next to her, was there hope in their deaths? I don't know. I don't know their life story. I don't know what they believed. I don't know what they lived for. But an event like that on a Monday just happens, and that is it. I think it's important to look at an earthquake like that, an act of God, capital G or lowercase g, whatever it is to you, and ask yourself, those daily arguments and fights and bickering, or the family members that you don't talk to anymore because you disagree on health care or something like that. If an event like this occurred, would you care after the event about the same things you cared about before the event? And just because you wouldn't doesn't mean that those things that you care about now wouldn't be worthy of your time or your effort or maybe even a little bit of your worry. But it's a great way to assess your priorities. Maybe your priorities are exactly where they need to be. Mine usually aren't. Even though I think about it and assess it, the worries that I have in life, they creep in and they kind of start to take over, and I sit there and I have to remember. And for me, I pray about it. And then I think, like, this is how in my head I am about things. Like, I'll pray about it and I'll be like, gosh, I'm really bad at praying. So then I'm like praying about things that I'm worried about. If that sounds crazy to you, I bet that there are people in your life who experience the same thing. I don't know. I when we fight about politics or we fight about these issues, that I have a whole category, a cut sheet here of a whole bunch of sound, and they're all categories of things that we could fight about. Like, what can we fight about? What do we want to fight about in the third segment of the 1 o'clock hour? School choice, Social Security, classified documents, climate change, the presidential race, immigration, Hunter's laptop, the Nord Stream bombing, Twitter hearings. We can fight about all those things. Do they all matter? Yeah, to some extent they all matter. Just because there are bigger things happening in the world doesn't make the smaller things not important. But do we have in our lives that those priorities squarely in place so that we can still attend to those things that are the most important in our lives, our family, our friends, in some cases, even ourselves. But I feel like this culture is really high on taking care of yourself these days, that we end up neglecting those people around us that we care about. So I don't want an earthquake to come to our land and make us learn this lesson the hard way. I pray for these people who are experiencing tragic, unimaginable loss in Turkey and in Syria. Every time there's a new headline up on the news screens in here, it causes me to hold my breath a little bit, because it's not like they're doing a whole lot of breaking into coverage to tell us good news. It just continues to be sadder and sadder. So I hope that you use this as an opportunity to not pass over something like this. It could happen anywhere to anybody. It's not red or blue. It's not black or white. It's not male or female. It just is. And to think about in that moment, what's important to you, and to make sure that you care for those things that are important to you. And hopefully there are people out there who are going to think about that and remember that they care about you. And if you've had disagreements, that maybe you use it as an opportunity to prioritize people over those politics that sometimes get in the way. I think the division that our political climate breeds right now is the thing that puts us the furthest apart from our government representatives. Because if they can block us off in gender, in age, in race, in religion, in wealth, if they can section us off from one another and tell us how the other side thinks of us, then we don't talk to each other. And that results in them being able to sell things to individual groups. That's a wide net that they can cast. It saves them money and time, and it does not help us. I just don't like to see these tragedies come across my news scroll, and it's painful sometimes when I see them, and I think, if this happened here, what would I regret not having done? What would I have regretted focusing on? And then thinking to myself the whole host of things that come to my mind, and thinking, okay, maybe I should do those now anyway. Let's take a quick break. We'll talk about something a little bit more lighter on the other side here. Do not go away. I appreciate you being here and spending your afternoon with us. The YouTube live chat poll, which we have not discussed yet. I'm going to ask Brad this question when we come back and get his response, but I'd like yours in the meantime. Do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? Yes or no? No other context to that. Make of it what you wish, and leave your comments on the live YouTube broadcast right now. We'll be right back.
You play with dynamite, don't be surprised when I blow up in your face.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush question, call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
For the first time, Diamonds Direct is offering an extra 25% off all of their Diamond Classics collection. 25% off diamond stud earrings, 25% off diamond tennis bracelets, and 25% off diamond pendants and more. It's true. This Valentine's Day, Diamonds Direct lets you take a full 25% off all these must-have jewelry box staples. Diamond Classics are like a little black dress. It's jewelry that never goes out of style and something you can wear every day, whether it's just running errands or going out on the town. A nice pair of diamond stud earrings goes with anything and everything. And now through Valentine's Day, you can take an extra 25% off. It's our best value ever offered on these popular gifts. Don't miss this sparkling new Valentine's event. Visit DiamondsDirect.com to view the Diamond Classics collection, learn about designer trunk shows offering an expanded selection, and apply for zero-interest financing options up to 3 full years. Celebrate your love and save like never before at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
This month's Zero Res Mark Reardon special. Get 3 rooms cleaned starting at $119 plus they're throwing in a free hallway. Also for the month of love, take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call 314-474-2020 or book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Make sure you're heating your home safely this winter with a heating system check. And for all other heating services, repairs, or if you need a new heating or HVAC system, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Connect with the personalities and give your feedback. 97.1 FM Talk is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For content that's additional to the radio, join us there. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being here with us today. So, Brad, today's YouTube live chat poll, very open-ended. I think our regular voters in our YouTube poll know this by now, but some people will say, listen to a question like this, and they'll be like, well, wait, what do you mean? Do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? Yes or no? It's very simple. Whatever this poll means to you, if you want to clarify, you do so in the comments.
But it's very broad.
Yes.
So to answer that question, I'm going to say yes, because there's somebody that I'm leaning toward. But I think we said this in the break. You're a free agent. I'm still a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's like the kid that is signing for college, and he's got the college that he really wants to go to, but he's got all the hats lined up. But if one of those other colleges makes him a better offer, he's going to take that one.
Yeah.
So and
sounds
that's
to me like you're not a yes, not a firm yes.
Well, I've got a strong leaning. I have a person that I think would
Is
be.
he or she in the race yet?
Nope. And I think they would be a great president. I think I love what they've done.
When do you think he'll get in the race?
Soon. I think it's going to be real soon.
There's not much more he can improve in Florida.
No.
He's working so hard. I assume you mean Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, I do. And that's not I hate Donald Trump. That's I prefer Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
It's the bagels and donuts conversation, except not as crazy. I have a preference.
Clearly,
of the
Ron
two.
DeSantis is donuts.
Whatever you want to call it right at this point.
You're not even going to take the bait.
Nope.
I understand that. I kind of feel the same, I suppose. But, I saw some people said, I vote yes, whoever the Republican is. Well, there's going to be a lot of Republicans in the primary, so you're going to have to pick one. And, if you vote for the guy who doesn't end up winning the nomination, you can still throw your full support behind the other person, the one who does win the primary. And it's not like there's a compromise about it. For us being in Illinois, you and myself, Brad, by the time the primaries get around to Illinois, a lot has been paired off.
Yeah.
So it is South Carolina. Didn't they just get the Democrat? Didn't Biden effectively get that through? I think it makes a huge difference if you want your vote to count to help set the tone. If you're previously in Iowa, if the Iowa caucuses, whoever wins the Iowa caucus is going to get first and foremost, what's always the most important. It's not votes, it's money. So if you win the Iowa caucus and you've proven that, hey, you're a competitor, you're a contender, then maybe some of those big donations come your way, which will help you collect the support in the following states as the process goes on. But Joe Biden got spanked in Iowa.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris dropped out before Iowa. And who are our administrators? I mean, this is how it goes. I always think about when we have these conversations about 2024 and the primaries and blah, 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 how much we know now and how dumb it'll be in 2 years. Right? Though, I mean, it's like you think about, you're effectively saying, Brad, that Ron DeSantis, he's earned your vote.
He's earned my vote. Yeah. I mean, I've said this in the past. I'm open to change up until the moment that I mark down on the sheet or press the button on the voting machine or whatever it is. I'm open to conversion up to that point. So, but at this point, I just look at it, I go, this country could use a lot of what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida. I like how he effectively wields the power of government to protect the citizens, be that against private corporations, or against whatever. He uses it to be the advocate of the citizen. He doesn't use it to corral the citizenry into what he wants the citizenry to be. He says, you can't teach kids about this stuff until they reach a certain age, which is what, 3rd grade, according to the law that they passed?
Yeah, I think so.
He says you don't get to interfere in these sort of things as a company and maintain all of the, the blessings that we have given you as a state that aren't really required of us to give to you. So he stood up and said, you can't do that. He said, you will enforce the law that is constitutional. And he removed people who refused to enforce the law as written. So it's not selective law enforcement. The people of the state, and then the people of the state looked at him and said, we like what you're doing. And not only did they say that,
20%.
He won Miami-Dade.
Yeah, he's so accomplished. And that's where people are flocking to. The future is bright for Ron DeSantis. If it's not 2024, it is near. One of the questions, when I was putting the YouTube poll question together today, I was going to, and this is the hard part with these YouTube polls, is first of all, on YouTube, I only get 4 options for a poll. I'm limited to that. Doesn't have to be 4, but it can be no more than 4. I wanted to ask the question, who would you most like to see as a vice presidential candidate? So if I do something like that, the 4th option is always someone else, and then you can comment it. But I was coming up with way more than 3 names for VP. I think it's an interesting conversation because I feel like Sarah Huckabee Sanders is a very interesting contender for a vice presidential position. But then again, at the same time, a lot of people look to governors for that next level up on a federal in federal office. But I kind of need these governors to stay put in their states.
Yes.
So that that system, the federalism system, is still intact on a state-by-state basis.
Yeah, and that's why I would be so against a Trump-DeSantis ticket. I don't like DeSantis needs to continue to.
I think they would too.
Yeah, but like I see that suggested a lot. It's like, whoa, it'd be like a dream team, and it's like, well, no, because what you're doing is you're taking a great governor out of his state and you're putting him in a position that is essentially.
How good do you have to be the vice president?
Apparently not that great. I forget who the historical figure was, but he said being vice president is about as useful as a warm bucket of spit.
Ew.
Yeah, it was right, but. It's like, no, you don't take a great governor out of his state and put him as vice president.
Dan says on YouTube, I really like Sanders. And to highlight, folks, this is not Bernie Sanders. I have to remind myself every time. I really like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, but she may be just a bit too green right now. I would absolutely agree with that from a presidential standpoint, but not from a vice presidential standpoint, because she served in Donald Trump's administration and she spoke for the administration.
Yep.
So she gets that element, which is the kind of qualification that I think you need to be a part of a vice presidential ticket. Could Sarah Huckabee Sanders be a realistic choice for a Trump vice president?
I think she could. You sit there. Like ordinarily, like if you get a president that is from the North, you would get a Southern vice president candidate and all that other stuff. You look at the Biden and Harris administration, there was more that went into that picking, but Kamala Harris is a West Coast politician and you've got an East Coast.
So the Democrats secured the California vote.
They secured the California vote. But you try to take your ticket and broaden it out. However, Donald Trump is a Northeast, like he lives in Florida, but he is a New York man.
Yeah, he's not a Southerner.
And so you get the hardness of Donald Trump, and then you get the wit and southernness of Sarah Sanders, plus the ideological alignment. You get a pretty strong ticket right there.
Apollo says that Sarah Sanders kind of threw Trump under the bus in her State of the Union response. Guys, listen, this is a coordinated, weird talking point that I keep hearing people say. She made me fall in love with Donald Trump all over again in her speech. She never disparaged him once. She talked about Donald Trump multiple times. And it is such a revisionist, kind of uneducated, uninformed thing to repeat, because I know people are repeating this. If they listened to the whole speech, the story she told about Donald Trump going overseas in the dark of night on Christmas night, and the way that he was welcomed when they landed among troops in the dark of night, made the idea of America romantic again. And it was all centered around Donald Trump. Like, you didn't do the homework. It's funny to me when people come out and repeat these lines. I've seen this like push. It's always like it's people who, there's two people who are super, 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 super pro-Trump, but they only consume things through the super pro-Trump kind of more fringe talking points area.
Right.
And the trolls that follow those people. and they really, they are there too. Like the consistencies are uncanny, so much so that I look at it and I go, you guys, you gotta put it down and walk away from it a little bit. You gotta understand the broad situation that's going here. And Donald Trump could absolutely be the president of the United States again after the 2024 election. And I will tell you what, professionally and politically, it will be incredibly entertaining to do what I do for a living. If that's the case. I will also need some sedatives because it's going to be really stressful, because we're all going to have to go back to that place. The country is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what it takes for the country to get away from where it's headed right now, it's absolutely worth it. And I will put on my good attitude. I'm so tired already. Thinking about going through a Trump-Biden Part 2 election. I have a MAGA hat. I have a Make America Great Again t-shirt that I bought in New York City, and it is made in America. I'll put it back on. If that's what it takes to bring this country away from where Joe Biden and the people who are helping run his administration back to the center, I will do that. I have no problem doing it. Mm-hmm. But like this idea that there's this this like undercurrent establishment movement to try to use Sarah Huckabee Sanders to take out Donald Trump. Like, knock it off. That's ridiculous. Say that out loud to yourself in the mirror, and then you'll see what I'm seeing. Good grief. Sarah Sanders to come take out Donald Trump, that she somehow hates him? But Governor Mike Huckabee has a children's book series about how great Donald Trump is. Oh, my gosh.
But Annie, she said it's time for a new generation of Republican leadership.
She did, which she is a part of, so I can understand why she's advocating for it. And the fact that the future is so freaking bright for the GOP, she is spot on. Donald Trump has surrounded himself with the new generation of Republican leadership.
He created it.
He did, and he's more invested in the young people in the movement than anything establishment. That's what Sarah Sanders, like, that's the thing that frustrates me the most is how much these trolls feel like they're dunking on conservatives by like trying to play the Trump, no pun intended, Trump card before the Trumpers do. But then they come here and do it. And I'm like, I'm not who you think I am. This is an open conversation for everybody to have here. And we are pro-Trump on this show. But it is not all Trump on this show. It's bigger than that because he created a movement that is bigger than that. Does he get credit? You're darn right he does. Does he get my worship? No. That's just for Jesus. It's so simple. And I know that could be complicated for some people to understand. You can listen to the podcast and just play it slower so I can make more sense. Just play it in halftime. And I'll talk like this. And then maybe you'll get it. Maybe you'll understand it. I don't know. I don't know what else I could do.
Yeah. It's not you. It's them. It's really them. It's their understanding of who we are as conservatives. It's the straw man picture painting that they always do. And it's like, this is who they are. And then come in and be like, hey, you're pro-Trump. What was it? You're insurrectionists.
Yeah. Where's DJ?
Not here.
Hi, DJ. Hi. How are you? Did you guys put that up on the podcast yesterday?
Part of it.
Nice choice. Are we breaking now or 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
Okay, well, I'll talk for 30 more seconds. Let's get Ryan Wiggins back in here. Come join the conversation on the Annie Frey YouTube channel where we are broadcasting live and share your vote with us. Do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? Yes or no? My answer to this question is no. I don't know because I don't know who all the options are yet. And I'm just waiting to see. And I think we got a lot of good options, at least on the Republican side. Join us on the YouTube. We'll be right back.
Just go ahead now. Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, this is Terry Hall, host of the popular radio show for veterans, Vet Time in America. Sundays at 12 noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Our show is all about veterans. We talk with experts. We help you get benefits, how to get more, and what to do if you're not getting what you deserve. Tune in on Sunday at noon. Join the conversation. We take calls. Vet Time in America. Tune in this Sunday at noon on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Promise kept on Capitol Hill. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. A Republican-led panel is investigating government overreach as former FBI agents describe a change in mission for the Bureau.
The first public hearing for a new subcommittee tasked with investigating what Republicans see as a weaponization of the federal government centered on concerns about the FBI's conduct.
For me, distancing myself from egregious mistakes, immoral behavior, politically charged actions taken by a small but destructive few FBI employees became exhausting.
Nicole Parker was a Miami-based special agent from 2011 until last year and described a shift in recruiting and strategy. The panel's top Democrat, Stacey Plaskett, says Republican rhetoric could undermine active investigations. She warns of a shocking increase in violent threats aimed at law enforcement agencies.
Fox's Jared Halpern, the Justice Department and the FBI deny any bias. President Biden triples down on a line of attack against Republicans.
Republicans in Congress have their way. The power we just gave Medicare to negotiate lower prescription drug prices goes away.
Also pledging again to veto any attempt to cut Social Security and Medicare, which Republicans say is not their goal. The president visiting Florida, his second trip on State of the Union themes this week. The Republican Party chair just out with a statement saying that working Americans say they're worse off since the president took office and that Democrats are too, quote, blissfully out of touch to care. Ukraine's leader wraps up a two-day trip.
Today in Brussels, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the EU Parliament, calling for more cooperation to fight the Russian invasion.
Fox's Trey Yingst to this trip to Brussels follows visits to Britain and France, where President Zelensky appealed for more firepower, including fighter jets. On Wall Street, a sell-off an hour to the close. The Dow's down 200 points. America is listening to Fox News.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids than ride in an ambulance.
I'd rather have a catch with my dog Curtis than catch pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease, asthma, or diabetes, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20 pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Learn more at Prevnar20.com. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
52 for the high this afternoon, but it really doesn't feel that warm because it's really windy out there all afternoon long. Tonight, partly cloudy 32. Friday, clouds, a touch of light rain and wet snow in the morning. Partly sunny for the afternoon and colder. 35 on Friday, 22 Friday night. Saturday, 42. Sunday, 52. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Milk, eggs, $42. Ma'am, you okay?
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Come in now for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee refund advance loan when you file your taxes. That's up to $3,500 today. Don't let high prices get you down. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes. So get to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
If you've been thinking about vision correction in the new year, there's no better time to get it than right now. Mark Cox for my friends at Brenton Vision. They have everything you need to help achieve that crisp, clear vision you deserve. Call them at 314-375-2020 or go online at brentonvision.com. Brenton is the home to the only team in Missouri to perform all 7 FDA-approved forms of modern vision correction. That's modern LASIK, permanent contact lenses, and if you have bad reading vision, they even have treatments for that too. Do what our friend Jessica from O'Fallon, Missouri did. Go to Brenton Vision for a consultation. See what you're a candidate for. Jessica told us to be able to see clearly without the use of glasses is such an incredible feeling. So if bad vision is standing in your way, call Brenton Vision, 314-375-2020, or schedule right now at brentonvision.com. That's brentonvision.com.
Conservatives Care is a 97.1 monthly action plan to change our neighborhoods and our nation for the better, one project at a time. In February, we're focusing on the Animal Protective Association of Missouri.
Known for placing pets in loving homes, the APA is dedicated to bringing together people and pets in need of forever homes. This is Kathleen from the Mark Cox Morning Show, inviting you to connect with the Animal Protective Association of Missouri at 971talk.com/care.
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Come in today for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee refund advance loan when you file your taxes at Jackson Hewitt. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Tony LaRussa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
22 years of questioning the narrative. Thanks for making 97.1 FM Talk your home for conservative talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to be with you this afternoon. The YouTube live chat poll today. Do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? If you go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel in the live chat portion of today's live broadcast, you can vote yes or no, and you can leave a comment if you want to clarify. We are going to cover those with Hannah at 2:45. So go get your vote in right now. How do you guys feel about tipping cows?
Yeah, please clarify. And if it's cows, I'm all for it. Sounds like fun. If it's
Brad, how do you feel about tipping?
I don't like tipping cows. Tipping at restaurants, though, I think it's an opportunity to show somebody they did a good job.
I didn't say restaurants.
Oh.
I'm going to eliminate cows from the conversation.
Okay, eliminate cows.
Tipping anything else.
So I was going to go through. I tip my hair. I don't want to say hairdresser.
It's a hairdresser.
I guess it's a barber because he's a guy. But he has to go to school for that.
I think women can be barbers.
So it's a schooling thing, right? Anyway, person who cuts my hair, I tip them.
It's a hairdresser.
Yeah. My stylist.
I mean, maybe.
Restaurants.
What kind of restaurants?
Sit-down restaurants and sometimes coffee restaurants.
Cafes.
Cafes.
Anywhere else?
No, because I don't I feel like if I took advantage of valet parking, I'd tip the valet. And if I had bus boys or bus people or whatever they're called, if I went to fancy enough hotels, I'd tip them as well.
Bus people.
You know, bus persons.
What about you, Ryan? Who do you tip? When do you tip? When do you not tip?
Always at a sit-down restaurant, almost never when I'm just picking it up at the counter. And I think there should be a very clear line between those things. I do sometimes, though, if somebody gives me good service, even if it's above and beyond, maybe just at a counter, I'll do that. Always going to tip my hairdresser or whoever that is.
Use hair singularly.
Yes.
Beautician.
My beautician. Yeah. If she does my perm. especially. Those are time intensive. But I actually was in the service industry for a long time in a non-traditional role of being the cart boy, the bag boy who would clean off your clubs when you came off the course. And I lived on tips for many years. So in that sense, I'm very much for tipping for service industry, but I don't think it's required. And I was always appreciative of it, and it was never mandatory. And I think that's important.
What percentage of people that you Ubered did not tip?
75%.
Good grief. Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't get tipped a whole lot. And I was always very nice, and I guess I was probably over talkative.
What
I was going to say, wait a second.
What is the average, like, other Uber drivers? Do they get
you want to
tipped?
sit in the front seat?
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people did.
Patsy.
You want to sit on my lap and steer?
You know what? I'm going to take a nap in the back if you want to drive.
Gross.
I don't know what the actual normal percentage of people who are, what's the average tip amount or the average person who tips, but for me, it really was about 25%. And it wasn't much. It would usually be just you never knew. You really never knew, and it came later.
Is Uber, do they pay their drivers, or I don't know if you know what they do now, if it could have changed since you Ubered, but do they pay their drivers a wage that implies that they will be compensated by tips?
No, I think at the time, again, inflation has changed a lot of this, but at the time, you got paid a fair wage without the tip, and the tip was very much a bonus.
So CNBC is talking about how the pandemic has brought a new tipping culture to support service workers and businesses early on. There seems to be a more notable shift with the emergence of digital kiosks at checkouts, prompting customers to tip on to-go coffees, takeout orders, and other transactions previously free from tipping culture. And coffee is certainly one of them. When I go to Scooters, and you can pay for the whole thing on the app, I tip 10% every time. I'm a 20% tipper at a restaurant. It's usually like, what's 20% and round it up from there. At a coffee place where you're driving through, it's so common for the tip to be asked for everywhere you go. I started tipping the 10% at Scooters because I just really like the people there, and they know my order when I show up, and they are very polite and kind, and I enjoy it there. But I kind of sometimes wonder, like, should I be tipping more? Am I not tipping enough? How many people who go through the drive-thru are tipping at all? And because a place like Scooters is drive-thru only. There's no walk up. There's no like Starbucks where you have a sit-down restaurant situation. But I mean, I feel like you go, I just went somewhere and I tipped, and when I clicked 20%, I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. But I did it anyway. I'm always worried that people are going to like maybe know who I am and then tell mean things about me. So I'm like, fine, here's 20% in non-traditional places. But like fast food restaurants, sometimes they'll have kiosks there that are like, do you want a tip? And it's like, no, here I go. What are you supposed to do?
Click no.
I see big painted windows that say that you're working at McDonald's for $15 an hour. I mean, I don't know that McDonald's is one of the places that's asking for tips, but like the standard going pay right now, I know that they don't think it's enough. I know that they will argue that it's not a living wage, but my goodness, I got paid less than a third of that when I did the same level of jobs, and we didn't have non-competes.
Yeah.
Which apparently are a thing somewhere.
Is that really happening? When President Biden is in his State of the Union address talking about non-competes, I have a non-compete in my contract to be here on this station. There's probably an understandable reason why that would be the case. Is the fast food restaurant industry so competitive? That's where he chose to go towards and say that we're keeping fast food workers from going across the street. Can you go from burger joint to taco joint? Just not burger to burger?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't know.
Are they competitors?
And does it have to be a burger, or does a roast beef sandwich count? Is it the bun that makes it?
Yeah. Or like, is Dairy Queen a direct competitor with Burger King?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they the same company?
That's sexist.
Oh, it's what they're called. Are they competitors?
Are you saying that one's better than the other?
Say you were sexist.
Oh, Dairy Queen's better than Burger King.
I kind of agree with it. So that is a little sexist, but I think we can get away with that one. With But what I read on this was that it's pretty uncommon, but that it does exist. And especially for upper management, it exists. The non-competes in fast food.
In upper management?
I mean, that's what I read. But that's all I read was just, yes, it does exist. It's not very common.
Of all of the things facing the country right now.
I know.
We're like Googling, is this
Sounds
really
like a
problem?
Snopes fact check.
Doesn't it?
This is mostly true, but lacks context.
Which is the only thing that they say when it is blatantly, patently false, but the truth benefits the conservative side of the aisle.
Right.
Lacks context. Yeah, what you're currently working on creating, the context. CNBC says, what was once a question of etiquette is becoming for Americans a question of affordability. Inflation still lingers, and just last month, nearly 2/3 of Americans reported they're already living paycheck to paycheck. Ultimately, how much you decide to tip depends on your own personal finances, but to offer a guideline, CNBC Select asked financial professionals their advice. Do you guys think that it would be better if we eliminated tipping and just paid people? I mean, there was a push to have this done in New York at one point, and the servers and the bartenders were like, absolutely not. Do not do this, because the tipping is where I make the majority of my money. And if you are very good at what you do, you can make a lot of money through tips. Taking that away and saying, here's your living wage may end up costing you money. I was a cocktail waitress at a country club in college, and it's a really good example of like effort to benefit ratio, because I would cocktail like banquets and weddings and, fancy to-dos or whatever. And we'd serve the meal. You'd cocktail before the meal was served. You'd serve the meal, and then you could cocktail as much as you wanted until the bar closed. And there were a lot of people who I worked with who would be out there to serve the meal, and then they'd all want to go smoke and wait for people to start leaving. And they'd stay in the back or maybe eat dinner in the back or whatever. And I was hustling. And I would always find the college friends in the back of the room, because those people would tip in 20s. You'd get around, you'd get a 20. And you find a few of those. I would do very well in tips. And the other people who did not, they physically didn't leave the back of the house to work the floor. And I was going as much as I possibly could. One time they found out how much I had made in tips that night. And then they actually made an effort, myself and this other person who was working really hard and was doing well. We split the room, essentially. They wanted to pool tips because it was super imbalanced. I'm like, I'm literally out there working and you're literally eating cheesecake and smoking cigarettes. And they want to pool tips. And I'm like, I'm not pooling tips at all. That's not happening. I will leave before I will do that. But I made a lot more money than other people who worked doing the same technical job than I did, because I worked harder at it and it benefited me to do so. I kind of wonder, if you take away the tipping culture, if you lose the extra service, that people who are really good at it or who want to make a lot of money at it and understand that great customer service and hospitality is the way to do that, that diminishes the experience that customers at places like that are going to get.
I couldn't agree with you more. And your example is a great microcosm of communism. I mean, clearly that the people who are not working want to pool the money the most, and the people that are working the hardest don't. But I think that even if you somehow were to make it to where everybody kind of agreed, yeah, we're going to get rid of tipping. Let's say just in Missouri, we're gonna do away with tipping, because it's kind of cultural. You got to do it too.
Europe doesn't do it.
They don't, right? But let's say somehow we figured out how to do that. You'd always still have the equivalent of the Instagram mom who brought the unbelievable gift to the birthday party, and the guy who's going to go ahead and tip anyway, who then it just breaks the whole thing. I don't think you could really accomplish it.
So one of the things I'll add at Disney World specifically, which is where I realized that Europeans don't tip. There's always a lot of the stuff that I would watch to try to prepare for our first trip down there. There'd always be kind of a special section for when it's appropriate to tip at Disney World. There are places where you absolutely should tip, like at a restaurant that you go to, but you can't tip the bus drivers. You can't tip the cast members that are in the parks. They're not allowed to accept your tips. They can get fired for it. And they go over this because apparently I don't know if it's just European or if it's all European nations or whatever. There are a lot of countries who do not tip the way we are structured here to do so. And it's funny to know that that's the case. And then you go to a place like that, and customer service is one of the top tier things that a location like Disney World or Universal or any of those parks, they really focus in on how the customer experience is. And they give you fantastic customer service most of the time. And then I guess as an American, you're like, oh, I want to tip you. And they're like, oh, no, I can't take that. And I'm like, and you're still nice. You're making money. And if you read some news articles, they don't act like they're making enough money down there. If the expectation is set that the customer experience should be one where you are giving them that ultimate customer experience and care and compassion, like there are people in the world who are capable of doing that without going, well, how much are you going to tip me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think about that too, though. It's like you were talking about your example, how you hustled to make extra tips. Whenever you have a tipping culture, that allows people who want to make extra money to go above and beyond. It allows them to do that. If you take that away, those people that are out there that are hard workers, that do all those sort of things, that, you know, that have that hustle, that entrepreneurial spirit, they can't take advantage of their extreme service, their good service. So what you end up doing is you cap off the succeeders, and you, at their cost, you raise up those that aren't good, the people in the back that are smoking. I don't think that we should go against it.
There's some smokers listening right now going, guys, ease up.
Bunch of James Deans back there in their leather jackets smoking,
leaning on their Porsche
wasn't
Spiders.
The part of their character that I had a problem with. It was the fact that they weren't working.
They were smoking instead of working.
I used to work at PK's. Was my first actual job. Job, and I made $3.15 an hour, and I was supposed to get the servers were supposed to tip out 10% of their tips. I know who you are. I know you did not tip out 10% because I got like $4 at the end of the day, and I was hustling my butt off there as well. But I remember, I think every single person who was over the age of 18 that worked there would smoke, and so they'd all go out on smoke breaks. So I used to take like cracker and butter breaks, and there was nowhere to go sit and eat crackers and butter at PK's because the place doesn't even exist anymore. So I would like go sit in the bathroom, and instead of eating a meal, I would eat crackers and butters. And I'm like, is this better than smoking? I don't even know. This might be worse than smoking. My cracker break.
In the bathroom, yeah.
In the bathroom.
Might not be
no,
the healthiest place to go eat
I didn't have any
crackers.
options. It was what it was. I loved PK's. I wish we could go back and eat their pizza right now and their salad and their lasagna all at the same time.
Butter and crackers.
And I could do that. Rough memories.
I really
there.
miss that.
Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. Do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? Yes or no? Let us know what you think. Vote in the poll. It's right there in the live chat. We'll be back in just a minute.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
So let's talk about Ruler Foods and how you can save for your party this weekend. If you're hosting or if you're bringing snacks and goodies to a party to watch football on Sunday, you want to make sure that you get the best cost, right? Well, Ruler Foods has that. My family went shopping at Ruler this week, and we stocked up on all of the important staples for the kitchen, and we saved so much money. It is refreshing to be able to walk through and see these name brands that we've purchased in other places and to know how much we're saving at the end. I got 6 people in my family. We go through a lot of groceries. I really can't afford not to go to Ruler Foods. If you've seen the building and you've never gone in, go in one time. Walk around the store and see how nicely the aisles are organized, how easy it is to shop in a great, clean environment, and save money. Don't miss the opportunity to get your produce, to get your meat, to get your party supplies, even your Valentine's Day gifts for less. Ruler Foods has that for you. Kroger 73% lean ground beef at $2.49 a pound, sold in a 3-pound roll. They have Lay's potato chips, Tostitos, 4 for $8 when you buy 4. Pepsi and Mountain Dew products, 12 packs, 4 for $14 when you buy 4. Dozen roses, $14.99 while supplies last. Find the store nearest you and go see what they are all about. Rulerfoods.com.
Right now on the Odyssey app, download No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith on some of his latest podcasts.
Oh, yeah, I sat down with Draymond Green and we got into everything in regards to Jordan Poole and what happened between those two. I also had a hilarious conversation with Bill Maher on the state of politics in today's day and age, and Elon Musk, of all people, of course. Plus, I had to talk about my feelings on the whole Rihanna-Beyonce brouhaha.
No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith. Get it today on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Surprise! Surprise! Surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Keep it here for the real news. This is St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Mark Cox, Brian Kilmeade, Annie Frey, Mark Reardon, and Dana Lash on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Did you guys hear about Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon?
Oh my gosh, no.
No, I saw them on TMZ yesterday, but I have no idea what they were talking about.
This is an interesting story, and I am not like a celebrity follower. I do know who those both of them are, so I feel like I have a leg up on this story. But this was actually reported by the Daily Wire. Actor Ashton Kutcher cleared the air Monday on awkward photos from his recent press tour with Reese Witherspoon. So this is interesting. They're on a press tour. They are talking about their Netflix project, Your Place or Mine, and he explained. He was on Chicks in the Office podcast. I've never heard of it, but maybe it's great. That there are all of these rumors surrounding the two of them because they never were like together in these photos. So they'd like pose on the red carpet or whatever, and they'd be separate from each other. And it just seemed as though there was a lot of awkwardness that was surrounding it. So apparently, Mila Kunis, who is Ashton Kutcher's wife, and if you watched that 70s show, they were a love interest on that show. Ashton Kutcher went and married Demi Moore and then didn't. They got divorced, and then he got back together with Mila Kunis. They're married. They have a kid. He said that his wife, Mila, texted and said, okay, hold on. My wife called me. She texted Reese and I together, and she's like, guys, You gotta act like you like each other. I was like, what's going on? So Ashton Kutcher says, okay, all right, here's the thing. If I put my arm around her and was friendly with her, I'd be having an affair with her. The rumor would be that I'm having an affair with her. So then he doesn't put her arm around her, and now the rumor is that they're awkward together. The Daily Wire reports what Kutcher soon learned, however, was the rumor mill was going to mill rumors no matter what. He and Witherspoon did, quote, if I stand next to her and I put my hands in my pockets, so there's no chance that that could be the rumor, then the rumor is that we don't like each other. Reese and I are really good friends. We're really close. I don't have to defend that. I actually really appreciate what Ashton Kutcher is doing here. And this is really a non-story. if I don't have the comments up on the live stream right now, but I understand if you're saying, Annie, this isn't important. Why are you talking about this? Because I actually think it is important. The non-story is the story. The idea that Ashton Kutcher is aware of what the machine is going to do. He's trying to honor his wife. He's trying to honor himself. He's trying to honor Reese Witherspoon, and he is going to lose no matter what he does. But the actual thought process in Ashton Kutcher's head was, I don't want to have a rumor mill churning that Reese and I are something that we're not, because I would assume that constant rumor mill would be harmful to even a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. And Ashton Kutcher is out there thinking about that. And so he chose to handle it in a situation to honor his marriage to Mila. And Mila was like, it's okay to like act like you like each other, in her words. I just don't think that we hear enough of those stories to suggest that there are people who think about honoring those relationships. And Ashton Kutcher did that. I think that's cool. Don't come at me and tell me about anything Ashton Kutcher has ever done politically, because I don't know and I do not care. Nor Reese Witherspoon. I just think that this is a story of prioritizing in a relationship what should be, even when it's difficult to do it.
I was actually going to say that he's one of those guys that is a little interesting. And again, I don't know where he's at politically either. But every now and then he says something that makes you go, oh, there's some like pretty good truth to that. He was Chris Pratt before Chris Pratt became a thing. You know, they say things sometimes that make you just take a little bit more notice, like they're thinking a little bit outside the box of PR and the normal way you have to speak in Hollywood.
Well, what it says to him is that his relationship with his wife is more important than his career. He's willing to sacrifice and make it look like he's awkward around Reese Witherspoon when they're releasing, I think it's a rom-com. And he's willing to sacrifice it, because you've talked to me about this. Is like anytime you see like, oh, these people are on a movie together and then they're dating, this is PR, it's designed and all that other stuff. He has set all that aside. He's willing to harm the project that he worked on to honor his wife. And that to me shows that he maybe has some priorities correct in his life. Even though he can't win for losing, his heart was in the right spot whenever he tried to do it. I remember Mike Pence getting flack for not wanting to have dinner with a lady who wasn't his wife without another person present in the room.
Joe commented that, remember when Mike Pence wouldn't hold private meetings alone with a female, he was scorched for being a sexist, cheater, womanizer, the exact opposite of what was most likely the case. Mm-hmm. Yes. It should not be the case that as a female, and if I have a male boss, which I have always had a male boss, it is not fair that I can't go into a room with that man and close the door without somebody who doesn't have my best interest or my boss's best interest at heart, who maybe even wants to harm either one of us, that if that door closes, there's an implication that could be made. And then everybody, it's the, Brad, why do you beat your wife question when you're saying, I don't beat my wife. Now we're discussing whether you do or you don't, even though obviously you don't and never have. But if in the climate of Me Too, which I don't know that we're post Me Too, there was the thing about the Me Too movement that always frustrated me is that all of the people who were going up on stages at award show and talking about like strength for women and standing up for women, I get all that now, because they were living in a climate and a world and an existence where they were being taken advantage of because they were women. But they were also projecting that onto every other man that exists in their life across the country in like accounting in Iowa. Like, you can't take that experience, that lived experience, and assume that it's everybody else's. And you certainly can't take that experience and apply it to all men and their urges and their ability to manage themselves in an appropriate way. But as a girl, I'm supposed to sit here and somehow get mad at men too, because you've had an experience that, oh, I see why you're angry. You're right to be angry, but let's place that where it belongs, because you're standing in front of all of these people in this room, in this big award ceremony. You're looking at all the people who know the dirty secret, but you're talking to the camera to people who aren't involved in that, who don't live that experience, and you're ruining other people's reputations and lives. And my ability to go sit and I don't have a problem with this, and I do this, but if I want to go sit and have a conversation with Steve, our boss, or any other male boss that I've ever had, insinuation that there might be anything else involved in that, it's not fair that has to be the case. But just because it's not fair doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge, like Mike Pence did, that there would be a lot of people out there who would be out to get him, to ruin him. And any woman who went in there could make an accusation in a world where Hillary Clinton herself said, believe women. Mike Pence doesn't stand a chance in that scenario.
Right.
He's 100% right to do that. And I just think Ashton Kutcher, like in this situation, he's just standing up for something quietly, not trying to make a point out of it, which makes me value that point even more.
Even as you talk about the Me Too movement and the people raging against the system of misogyny, they're raging against the system that they're in, that the left created. I mean, this isn't creating, you're not talking, like you said, about accountants here, and maybe it does happen, but their experience is in a fully left-controlled system of Hollywood that they're having this problem. And that is true of so many different systems that these people rage against, like the Harvard admissions scandal, that they were being racist in their admissions. These are leftist institutions. And it's amazing how often that they say, well, we need to tear down the systems, and it's the systems they control.
I don't know that it's really that political. I feel like the idea that there's a power struggle between men and women in certain climates is kind of I mean, I guess I would identify it as a sin problem, a brokenness problem, but in a world where it happens more frequently and there are victims that are identifiable, and we're made to be aware that there are quite a few victims of a said problem. It is made to be political because all of a sudden political capital is made out of it. And you want to be the political side of the aisle that's on the right side of history, that stuff. So you get a movement going by, air quotes, pro-women organizations who, for whatever reason, seem to stand against everything that I stand for the most part. And then they latch on to that. I don't think that those types of things happen I think the idea that there are more Democrats in that environment than Republicans isn't the cause of why these things are happening. I think brokenness is why these things happen. I just think that politically, the left is always victim hunting. And it's never to make anything better for the victim. It's just so they can say, see, I'm right here with the victim. I'm standing with the victim. I'm the good guy. They're the bad guy because they are not here first. And then they try to use that to churn votes. And in a lot of ways in the last 10, 15 years, it's really worked. The Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, it's one of the first plays in the playbook for the left. Interesting. Well, good on Ashton Kutcher. I mean, like such a simple, basic thing that I understand if you're like, that does not affect my life at all. But I do think it's important to understand that this type of stuff happens and commend it.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ashton Kutcher as far as Ashton Kutcher is concerned. I like Mila Kunis a lot too.
Yeah.
Bad Moms is a great movie. Don't watch it with your kids. I saw that in the theater and laughed really hard. I didn't see the second one, but the first one was great. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Hannah's going to give us the results of today's YouTube live chat poll. Do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? Yes or no? Vote, comment, and Hannah might highlight your thoughts on the issue when we come back. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. If you have not yet reached out to Stewie, now's the time. Don't wait on it. 314-324-4440. You can call him or text him at 314-324-4440. The thing that you will appreciate so much about Stewie is how he can cater what he is doing, especially with the bagel loan, to help your unique situation. If you're doing a mortgage refinance, rates have come down in the last 2, 3, 4 months. And if you got a house in those last months, I want you to understand you can lower that rate now and save yourself a lot of money over the course of the length of your mortgage on those interest payments that you're going to be making. Stewie is there to help you. He's there to help you navigate the system. It is the most customer-centric mortgage lender you're going to find, because he is there to serve you, not the other business contacts that he has, the buyer, the seller, the person who is moving the mortgage and you're refinancing the mortgage. Stewie is going to make sure you're at the center of that. 314-324-4440. If you're looking to purchase a home, go now while rates have come down a bit, and he can make you the most competitive buyer making that offer. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Download Upside and start getting cash back wherever you roll. It's like having your own hype man. Get an average of 17% cash back at restaurants.
Oh, it's dinner time.
Average of 13% on groceries.
Get those groceries.
10 cents per gallon average cash back on gas.
It's go time.
Plus, cash back at participating convenience stores, too.
Stacks on stacks.
Users can earn hundreds of dollars a year, 3 times more than other apps.
Upside, show me that money.
All right, we get it. It's easy. Just sign up for the free Upside app and start getting cash back for doing you. Download the free Upside app and use promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 on the free Upside app. Get cash back for doing you with the free app from Upside.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to $900 in utility rebates and see if you qualify for 0% financing on a new high-efficiency HVAC system. For details and to get into your comfort zone, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Hey, there was an explosive hearing on the Twitter files on Capitol Hill. We'll talk about it Thursday afternoon.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a going dry.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Defamatory stuff every single day I've been governor. That's just the nature of it. But I have a platform to fight back. A lot of these other people that are more little, they don't necessarily have a platform to fight back. And so in terms of our reforms, I really want to empower them more so than people that occupy high positions like me. It just goes with the territory. You got to have a thick skin. It's also just practically speaking, I would not take time out of being governor to be fighting lawsuits. It's just not practical in terms of what we're doing. And I'd also just say this. I spend my time delivering results for the people of Florida and fighting against Joe Biden. That's how I spend my time. I don't spend my time trying to smear other Republicans.
That's the 11th commandment, as you might have heard one wise man once say. Ron DeSantis talking. I guess that was a Trump attack, right? Did Trump call him a groomer?
I think, yeah, he put out a picture of him and said, look at you, you're hanging out with young girls.
It was a picture of him and some high school age girls.
Is it on True Social?
Yes. And he's like, Ron DeSantis wouldn't do that, would he?
It was
What would Ashton
out of
Kutcher
place.
do? Come on. Give me a break. I got to look at this.
That's a good question. We should ask Ashton. We should have a segment called
I liked
Ask
that
Ashton.
segment.
Yeah. It starts off with, well, dang, Jackie.
We just play clips.
And then at the end, burn.
He's a great character.
And we just assume this is how we probably would answer that question. Play whatever clip we want.
Quip.
Clips and quips. Are you looking it up?
I'm just reading Donald Trump's Truth Social feed right now.
I'm surprised you hadn't seen that yet.
Well, I see these headlines, but I don't care. So I don't. That doesn't affect my support for either of them. I could understand why it might affect some people, but it doesn't. Politics is so ugly and nasty. The Washington Times has a Truth Social post. Gutfeld to boast his TV crown and Super Bowl ad. And Donald Trump truthed it and said, "Great going, Greg, but your competition are 3 of the, all caps, least talented hosts in the history of television. Their ratings suggest they will be gone soon." I don't know. Is that a compliment to Greg, or like you're competing against potatoes? It's like,
yeah.
Or is it
He's
both?
more tearing down the opponent more than he is lifting up Gutfeld.
Mm-hmm.
I got to change that X's and O's question now.
No, you don't.
Well, I shouldn't have pointed it out. Maybe you would have forgotten about
You
it.
didn't even have to say anything about it.
You're right. We'll have to. You may just tweak it a bit.
Actually, I think now you have to change it.
Now I do.
Yes. Here's something about Lee Greenwood.
Oh, Lee Greenwood news. Let's have a segment
I
called
just
Lee
kept
Greenwood
scrolling.
news.
A nasty ad, whatever that is.
It's about a toe, in case anyone's thinking anything else, Hannah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Wait, what?
Sometimes
What's
I
on
just
Truth
forget.
Social?
Doctors can't explain it, but this can vanish toenail fungus.
Oh, it's one of those ads. Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, it's a nasty
Toe
ad.
fungus
What
ad.
were you thinking,
I thought you were
folks?
talking about Lee Greenwood's toe.
No.
Like, what's that
Why?
news?
Why is Donald Trump talking about it?
Yeah.
I can't. You guys need to do
We need to do
talky
radio.
talk
I'll
so I
read
can.
some of the YouTube
How
comments.
long ago was this? I'm still
It was
scrolling.
maybe 2 days ago, max.
Oh wait, I've been scrolling forever, and I'm only 21 hours back. This guy is
Wow.
on Truth Social a lot.
This man is a machine.
I think I need to open up my Truth Social app more often. I only see the greatest hits on Twitter that people retweet.
Greatest hits of Truth Social.
That's all I see.
Speaking
I mean, I
of
got it.
Ron DeSantis
Right.
and Donald Trump, you want to do a little YouTube poll reaction here, Hannah?
Yeah. Today's YouTube poll is asking, do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? I liked that we opened this segment with a Ron DeSantis clip because that is who I want to support in the 2024 primary if he runs. And I just really hope he does.
He is handling that.
Would you
Like a
support
pro.
Donald Trump if Ron DeSantis, if Trump's the nominee, would you support him?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I would.
Yeah, it's really just that simple. That's not Ron, is it? He would never do such a thing.
There you go.
That is so
It's
high
just a picture
school
of him
of
when
Trump
he's
to
way
do that.
younger, surrounded by 3 women who also look young,
with blurred faces.
and you don't know what's going on. But it was a DNC, I think, attack ad on him.
Yeah, when he was running for governor.
It says, here is Ron DeSanctimonious grooming high school girls with alcohol as a teacher with a puking emoji. And
Yeah.
their faces are blurred out, but his isn't. Dumb.
Yep.
You think if he was really guilty of that, he'd get this far?
No.
Not a chance.
That's the
That would have
best they
came
could
about
find.
a long time ago.
It's really amazing seeing that. I mean, we all knew that's what DeSantis was going to do. Is he's going to say, "Hey, you know what I'm going to do? Not fight back against these dumb things."
Never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty and the pig likes it.
Exactly, and that's what he just did in that clip. We knew that's what he was going to do, and that's what he did. And he's brilliant for doing it, regardless of whether he runs for president or not.
He could have a Marco Rubio moment. Marco Rubio, I supported Marco Rubio all the way. I voted for him in the Illinois primary, and you can go check the tape. I was not a big fan of Donald Trump. I just sent you, Brad, a few weeks ago or whatever, something I had posted on Facebook back from then. I think it was on my own personal Facebook. Maybe it was my show Facebook page. And I did not have strong, nice things to say about Donald Trump. I didn't think that he was the best that the primary in 2016 had to offer, but it was always clear to me that he was infinitely better than Hillary Clinton. And when he won the nomination, I was like, all right, let's see what we can do. And then the dude was the most conservative minded, constitutionally adherent politician that I've ever seen in my lifetime in that position. And it was unbelievable and jaw-dropping, which is why you go look at how many votes he got in 2016 compared to how many votes he got in 2020 with everything that you take into consideration, and you realize he expanded his support in America in the climate, the attacks that he was under, the media that hated him and made up things, fabricated things about him left and right and went with it to try to disparage him. He still got immense more support his second time around. Go check the Obama numbers, his first election and his second number, and then compare them to the Trump numbers. Donald Trump didn't win. He's not the president. But to suggest that people can't move over time in their support for someone or have individual opinions based on the circumstances of the time is pretty foolish. And I don't think that anybody deserves blind loyalty. I certainly don't deserve your blind loyalty. I've got to earn it every day. I'm talking to the listeners, not you, Ryan.
Oh, I was like, oh, all right. Yeah,
All right.
let's do that.
I've been waiting to trash on you all day.
Well, now that you mention it.
It's like, that was way different than the meetings we had.
Got something to say?
Oh, now that we're on air, now the truth comes out.
What else do you got there from the listeners? Some reaction.
Mark Reed from YouTube commented, not sure who will win the primary in 2024. I do know I won't support Trump or anyone else just because they have an R on their chest. They are going to have to earn my vote this time.
An R on their chest. I like thinking about that. That guy must be a Republican. He's got an R on his chest.
You're thinking about men with R's in their chests.
I just love thinking about it.
Janine commented, it depends who runs, but I support DeSantis. If for some reason he doesn't run, I will gladly support Pompeo or Haley. I think Hannah and I would also support Eric Schmidt. I've never heard of a Schmidt run. That would be interesting. Let's see here. Michael from YouTube says my decision will be made after the debates. Katie Matthews says, no, I have not decided. I'll watch the debates and see the results of the primaries before ours. Then I will vote on the best whoever is left running in our primary.
It's funny to think about the primaries, especially like with Donald Trump as a factor in it, because if you're in your mind thinking about another Trump primary and the primary that we went through as a Republican Party in 2016, it was a lot. It was rough. It was highly entertaining, but it was an exercise. And when I think about Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump being the last 2 or 3 or 4 people on that stage, Ron DeSantis is either going to mop the floor with Donald Trump or get mopped by Donald Trump in the whole process. It will not be a draw. There will be a clear winner one way or the other, which is why I go back to Marco Rubio. I really liked him. I still like Marco Rubio. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I think he's great. When Marco Rubio decided to try to beat Donald Trump on Donald Trump's playing field, he got demolished. He could not out-Trump Trump. He should have stuck with who he was and either won that way or lost being Marco Rubio. He tried to beat Donald Trump on his turf, and he can't do it. And I don't want to even see Ron DeSantis try to beat Donald Trump on that turf. I want Ron DeSantis to be DeSantis, and then may the best man win out. Or lady, probably man. We'll see. There's some good female options as well.
Clayton from YouTube commented, I'm hoping for more moments when great people step up and shine, like how Sarah Huckabee Sanders did the other day. I'm open-minded for new, great options. Jackie S. from YouTube said, Trump is the only candidate at this point I would vote for, but as we don't know who all the Republican candidates are, I am undecided. Sheepdog from YouTube said, I am favoring, not supporting yet, Trump, but I'm waiting to see who else gets in. Scott from YouTube said, I will support DeSantis if he's running in the primary. Trump is my second choice. Greg McCracken from YouTube says, I would support Trump or DeSantis. Dirk from YouTube says, I voted no, mainly because I'm waiting to see if anyone else joins. Also because I think Ryan would vote yes.
The internet's a great place, isn't it?
It is.
Only there can you be like, what's your name? Oh, my name is Sheepdog.
Mm-hmm.
You could put in your real name or you could just be called something else.
There's so many issues that are facing the country. And, you know, Ryan, you talk about school choice a lot. That's a huge issue for a lot of people. And it's a non-issue for people who aren't directly connected to the education circle, whether you are in education, you have a child, a grandchild that is in it. It's going to be a top tier priority issue for you. And there are a lot of people who aren't focused on that at all. Which one of those groups is going to be most motivated to show up? That will make a difference. There are a lot of other key issues that are going to drastically affect that we haven't even broached yet in lead conversation. We've got a lot of time. It's going to go by quickly, but there is a lot of time between now and when this person is going to get selected. One of the things I'm really excited about for Friday at 12:25 here on the Annie Frey Show, we're going to speak with D to the C about a lot of those culture issues that have come up, including that Disney Plus Proud Family episode that we covered. Want to make sure that you listen to us Friday at 12:25 to hear D to the C's comments on that. But it's just another one of those issues culturally that you think, who's going to be motivated to show up? Are we as basic as our voting blocks, as the demographics that a lot of people want to say that we are? Does it matter for the Republicans to pick somebody who doesn't sit in the white male voting demographic? That we do show, like Joe Biden came out and said, I would like did he say woman of color for vice president?
Yes.
If you come out and say that, like that is the quiet part out loud. He should never have said that out loud because that's what it gets boiled down to. You think that the Republican Party doesn't consider those things when they pick people? Of course they do. Of course they do. It's politics. But when we are marching from February 9th of 2023 all the way to, I think it's November 8th of 2024, we are going to, that's 635 days from now, we are going to see a lot of hills and valleys in this march toward picking the right person for the right time. And it is even kind of unsettling to think that what could happen in that amount of time. Foreign policy could become the only thing that matters for a presidential election. And I mean, like, that's a bold, big statement right now. You might go, that we can't have anybody other than Mike Pompeo. He's got to be the guy. He's the one who knows he's the right guy for this moment in time. It might be the case that they uncover through subpoenas and GOP investigations in the House or whatever, the even more nefarious relationships between Joe Biden and China, and then that becomes a bigger issue, and that changes the landscape. That's why, for me, the answer to this poll question is no, because I don't know what the big issue is right now. But I do know that Donald Trump would be great, that Ron DeSantis would be great. I think that Nikki Haley would be great. I know some of you guys hate that, but if you think about Nikki Haley versus Joe Biden, that is an easy answer. There's an easy question, easy answer. I just think that we have a lot of great options. So for me, I'm a no. Earn my vote. Work hard for it, too. I'm going to make you work for it. Nobody just gets it.
I'm a no.
You're a no? Did you start as a yes?
I probably would have been a yes last year at this time, but now I just don't. I want to wait and see who the candidates are, and I want to hear your argument because I want to know that I'm going to back somebody who's going to win. That's a big, big factor to me. Is I want to know you could win.
You got the results?
Yep. The YouTube poll is asking, do you know who you support in the 2024 primary? Yes or no? 52% of the people said no, they do not know who they're going to support in the 2024 primary, and 47% of the people said yes.
That's fantastic. That's right. That's
right down the middle.
That's right down the middle. All right. Well, that means that they got some work to do. Thank you for being with us here today. Don't go anywhere, because on 97.1 FM Talk, The Mark Gruden Show is next.
Have you been lied to?